Every night, I smeared foul-smelling mud on my girlfriend's feet, then sprinkled half a pound of flour on them. After that, I'd immediately pretend to be asleep. And every night, she would wake up at 2 a.m., pluck one of my hairs, and sneak out. So I followed the footprints she left on the floor. But I never expected that. Right at the moment, I was about to find out what she was up to, I saw a little girl on the street, about to be hit by a massive truck. In the nick of time, I rushed out and saved the girl. But I was sent flying 30 feet away, clinging to my last breath. Just as my heart was about to stop beating, a cold mechanical voice echoed in my head. System of binding successful. A divine tycoon balance of 1 trillion has been credited to host Yi Chuan's account. Reward: black card and the skill, golden eyes. Ability to see the true value of all things and see through people's hearts. Reward: Grandmaster staff and fist skill. Ability to fight 100 men alone. My eyes snapped open. I could feel my current body surging with an unprecedented power. I could even see and hear a Maybach speeding toward me from 3 miles away. Less than 2 minutes later, the black Maybach stopped right in front of me. A pair of long straight legs, wrapped in seductive black silk stockings, stepped out of the car. She frantically rushed into the crowd. "Tang, Tang, Tang, Tang! Where are you, Auntie?" The little girl I saved burst into tears. The woman rushed over and hugged Tang Tang tightly. After confirming that Tang Tang only had a few minor scratches, she looked up at me. Her eyes were filled with gratitude. "Sir, thank you for saving Tang Tang's life. I am Shen Yunshu of the Shen Group. Please tell me how I can repay you. Even if the Shen family has to give up our entire fortune, we won't hesitate." Yi Chuan stared at the woman in front of him. Her information instantly appeared on his retinas. Age, 25. Identity, CCO of the Shen Group. Net worth, over 800 billion. If this were before today, this would have been Yi Chuan's best chance to change his life in this city. Just by clinging to the Shen family, he could get a massive reward. Even right now, though Yi Chuan had 100 billion in his hands, it was nothing compared to a fraction of the Shen family's wealth. But Yi Chuan just quietly glanced at her and dropped a single sentence: "No need." Then he disappeared into the cold, rainy night. Shen Yunshu watched Yi Chuan's retreating back, then ordered the assistant standing behind her. "Investigate him. I want all his information within 3 minutes. He is my savior. I, Shen Yunshu, will absolutely not let him just disappear like this." Meanwhile, Yi Chuan had arrived home. He focused his gaze on the 2 people in the photo on the wall. The Golden Eyes recall function activated. Very quickly, he found out the mastermind behind his parents' death was none other than his stepmother, Qian Yulan. As for his girlfriend, Zhao Mengiao, who sneaked out every night, sure enough, she was going to meet some rich young master. He'd start by taking out that evil stepmother, Qian Yulan, first. Then, it would be Zhao Mengiao's turn. He would make Zhao Mengiao and the rich kid she hooked up with unable to even get a job as a delivery driver. They would only be fit to become beggars on the streets. Early the next morning, Yi Chuan stepped into the Ye family villa. The moment Yi Chuan walked into the villa, he heard the sound of things being smashed in the main hall, along with Qian Yulan's hoarse screaming. "Don't hit me anymore. I'll get it sorted right away. I'll force that brat, Yi Chuan, to sign the inheritance transfer papers. When that happens, this villa will be mine. I'll have the money to pay you back." A fiery slap cut off her wailing. "Yeah!" Chuan pushed the door open and walked in. The living room was a complete mess. Qian Yulan, who was usually arrogant and domineering, was now kneeling on the floor with disheveled hair. A bright red handprint was clearly visible on her face. Sitting arrogantly in the middle of the living room was Zhang Cheng, along with Boss Dao, the head of the Lone Shark Gang. Behind them stood 4 thugs gripping iron pipes. Yi Chuan strolled in casually. He ignored everyone and walked straight toward the center of the living room. Seeing Yi Chuan dare to look down on him, Boss Dao immediately shouted. He raised his hand, aiming to slap Yi Chuan's face. "So this is that useless eldest young master?" Yi Chuan suddenly turned his head and stared at Boss Dao. His information also appeared in Yi Chuan's mind. Target, Tang Shao. Combat power, 65, normal, peak human, weakness, extremely superstitious, and suffers from a strange illness. Every night at midnight, his heart aches violently. Yi Chuan didn't move an inch. He just said softly, "If your hand dares to touch my face, you'll never be able to hold a pair of chopsticks again for the rest of your life. And about that chest pain of yours, does it act up exactly at 12 a.m. every night? You know how to read fortunes? Boss Dao's hand suddenly froze. You know how to read fortunes. Boss Dao's hand suddenly froze. Not even his subordinates knew about this secret. How did this brat know? Ye Chuan didn't answer. He walked straight toward the ransacked house, searching for the purple sandalwood box his mother left behind. Seeing that Boss Dao didn't make a move, Qian Yulan immediately scrambled up and called out to him. He's the first in line heir. Force him to sign the papers and transfer the ownership. This villa will be yours, boss. Dao's eyes flashed. Faced with a debt of tens of billions, that little bit of fear was nothing. His face darkened. Boys, hold this brat down for me. If he doesn't sign today, chop off one of his fingers. Immediately. The four thugs swung their steel pipes and charged at Yichuan. With his back to them, Yichuan sighed softly. Why do you have to force me to get physical? Before he even finished speaking, he calmly turned around. A simple roundhouse kick. Bam! The leading thug looked like he'd been hit by a truck. He flew backward over 15 feet, slammed hard into the wall, and passed out on the spot. The entire room fell dead silent. The remaining three thugs hastily stopped in their tracks, gulping in fear. Retracting his leg, Ye Chuan searched near the tea table and found the sandalwood box, his mother's relic. He wiped off the dust, then turned to look at the dumbfounded Qian Yulan. Qian Yulan, haven't you always wanted this house and the Ai family's properties? Well, I'm giving them to you now. Qian Yulan was stunned. Ye Chuan looked at Boss Dao, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. He pulled out the black bank card. Did you bring a card reader? Yes, I did. The total is 58 billion. Ye Chuan tossed the card over. Swipe it all. Qian Yulan's eyes gleamed with wild joy. Is this idiot actually paying off my debt for me? She immediately put on airs. Ye Chuan, at least you know what's good for you. Since you paid off my debt, the slate is wiped clean between us. Get the hell out. This house is completely mine now. But the very next second, Ye Chuan's words sent her straight to hell. Who said I was paying off your debt? He looked at Qian Yulan, his eyes full of mockery. This money is the cost of me buying your debt. From now on, you owe the money. To me. Qian Yulan's smile instantly froze. Boss Dao immediately reacted, his expression changing in a flash. He glared fiercely at Qian Yulan. President Qian, your creditor is now Mr. Yi. That's right, Mr. Yi. Is there anything I can do for you? Do you need me to help you collect the interest? Haha. Boss. Dao decided he had to cling tightly to Ye Chuan. This was a massive backer. Ye Chuan held the sandalwood box and walked to the door, stopping to look at Qian Yulan. I'm only giving you two choices. First, move out of this villa immediately. Leave empty-handed. You are not allowed to take even a single piece of clothing. Second, pay off your debt to me in full within 3 days. 1 second late and I'm calling the cops. I'll sue you for fraud and embezzlement of company funds. If you don't supervise Qian Yulan to ensure she pays on time, I'll sue you for intentional assault. There's a camera at the door as proof. These charges are enough to keep you all rotting in jail. With that, Ye Chuan strode out of the villa. Behind him echoed Qian Yulan's heart-wrenching screams, along with the sounds of Boss Dao's men smashing things and clearing the place out. Hearing those sounds, Ye Chuan stood under the sunlight, feeling completely refreshed. But the very next second, the system issued a new mission. Please spend 100 million within 2 hours. Penalty for failure. Randomly strip the host of one bodily function. For example, permanently lasting only 3 seconds. Ye Chuan looked at this penalty, his mouth twitching. System, you're truly ruthless. But spending money, that was probably the easiest mission in the world. Ye Chuan hailed a cab and headed straight to the mall, Zhangcheng's most high-end SKP. Just as Ye Chuan got out of the car, a red Ferrari roared arrogantly and stopped right in front of him. The window rolled down, revealing his ex-girlfriend, Zhao Mengyao. She took off her sunglasses, her eyes full of disdain. Well, if it isn't Ye Chuan, I heard you got kicked out of your house and became a delivery boy. Why drag yourself all the way to this high-end area? The security here doesn't let beggars in. Back when the Yai family first ran into trouble, Zhao Mengyao had dumped Ye Chuan at the speed of light and threw herself straight into the arms of a rich second-generation heir. Looking at her, Ye Chuan wasn't angry at all. Instead, he smiled. This money-spending mission was just missing an audience. Yeah, I'm here to beg. Ye Chuan adjusted his collar, a bright smile on his face. However, what I want to beg for today isn't food, but this entire mall. At that moment, the car door opened. Zhao Mengyao was clinging to the arm of a guy wearing Versace. The man in the floral shirt stepped out. His beady eyes scanned Ye Chuan from head to toe, looking incredibly smug. So this is your delivery boy ex-boyfriend? He's got a pretty face, I'll give him that. Too bad he's a broke loser. The AC here charges by the minute, you know. Can one of your delivery shifts even cover 10 minutes of cooling off? Zhao Mengyao hugged the man's arm tightly, laughing so hard her whole body shook. Ye Chuan, let me introduce you. This is my current husband, Sun Haoyu. His family is in the construction materials business. They have a net worth of trillions. She deliberately emphasized the word trillions, looking at Ye Chuan provocatively, as if expecting to see an inferiority complex on his face, or an expression of humiliating rage with nowhere to hide. However, she was disappointed. Ye Chuan just calmly said, "Is that so?" His indifferent gaze was like he was looking at thin air. "Move aside." Ye Chuan stepped forward, his voice completely nonchalant. "I'm giving you face and you don't even know how to take it, huh?" Sun Haoyu was infuriated by Ye Chuan's disregard. He took a step forward, blocking Ye Chuan's path, and raised his hand to shove Ye Chuan's shoulder. The moment Sun Haoyu's hand was about to touch Ye Chuan, deep within Ye Chuan's pupils, a golden light flashed. Sun Haoyu's information appeared. Target, Sun Haoyu. Identity, fake rich kid. Flashy on the outside, completely hollow on the inside. Current equipment, Versace shirt. Richard Mille armed Vuaven, watch high-end fake. Domestic dandong movement, painted to look vintage. Belt, authentic. Financial status, abysmal. Credit cards maxed out. Borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Rented the Ferrari for a day to hit on Zhao Mengyao. The car rental fee hasn't even been fully paid yet. Reading this information, a meaningful smirk tugged at the corner of Ye Chuan's mouth. He stepped closer to Sun Haoyu and lowered his voice, but just enough so the passers-by around them could hear it clearly. The carbon case of a Richard Mille naturally has random scratch patterns, but the pattern on this piece of yours looks a bit too uniform, doesn't it? Moreover, the date wheel on the real deal jumps very smoothly. It's 1:59 right now. How about we wait a moment and see? At exactly 2:00, will this watch of yours even be able to flip the date? Sun Haoyu's face instantly changed color. This watch was indeed a replica he bought for $400, specifically used to trick gold diggers like Zhao Mengyao. But he never imagined that a lowly delivery boy could see through it with just one glance. "You're talking out of your ass. My stuff is real. What the hell do you know?" Sun Haoyu instinctively covered his wrist with his hand, trying to act tough to hide his guilty conscience. "Yao Yao, don't bother with this mad dog. Let's go. I'll take you to Hermes to buy a bag." Saying that, he pulled the bewildered Zhao Mengyao away, intending to rush straight into the mall. It was obvious he wanted to flee the scene. "What a coincidence. I also want to go in and buy some things. Let's go together." Ye Chuan followed behind at a leisurely pace. "This is Scap. If you can even afford a pair of socks here, I'll eat them right on the spot. Remember your words." Ye Chuan walked through the revolving doors, entering the air-conditioned mall lobby. The first floor of SKP gathered the world's top luxury brands. The air carried the faint scent of expensive perfume. "Welcome, Patek Philippe." The greeter at the door bowed respectfully, but when she saw Sun Haoyu and Zhao Mengyao following closely behind, the employee's eyes visibly lit up. Her smile also became much brighter. "Sir, madam, welcome!" Sun Haoyu, wanting to regain his lost face from earlier, deliberately spoke loudly. "Bring out the most expensive watch in the store. I want to pick one for my girlfriend." He shot Ye Chuan a provocative glare. "What's wrong? A delivery boy coming in here to enjoy the AEC? Be careful not to break the display cases. Even if you sold yourself, you couldn't afford to pay for it." The sales consultants in the store quickly gathered around Sun Haoyu. As for Ye Chuan, he was completely ignored and left to the side. Only a young girl who had just graduated, still wearing an intern badge on her chest, hesitantly approached Ye Chuan and handed him a glass of water. "Sir, hello, is there anything I can help you with? If you just want to look around, that's perfectly fine too." The girl's eyes were very clear. She didn't show any contempt, because of the way Ye Chuan was dressed. "I'm not looking." Ye Chuan took a sip of water and replied calmly. "Hear that? He said he's not looking. I told you he just came here for the AC. Where's security? How can you let just anyone in here?" Hearing this, Zhao Mengyao immediately sneered. A senior saleswoman approached, her tone stiff. "Sir, if you're not buying anything, please don't waste our time serving customers. There's a resting area over there." Ye Chuan didn't even bother paying attention to that saleswoman. Instead, he looked at the young intern in front of him and smiled faintly. Then he pointed at the starry sky in the middle display case and glanced over the entire row of Nautilus watches next to it. "This starry sky, and this whole row too. I'll take them all." The entire room fell dead silent. Haha, Meng Yao, did you hear that? He said. He's taking them all. Everything here combined must be over 70 billion. Has this brat lost his mind from delivering packages? Ha ha ha, Sun Hao, you burst into exaggerated laughter. Sir, please don't make such jokes. This is Patek Philippe, not a farmer's market. If you dare to keep talking nonsense, I'm calling security. The snobby saleswoman's face instantly darkened. She assumed Yi Chuan was here to cause trouble. Sir, that Sky Moon 6102P model costs 9.8 billion. Furthermore, it requires a VIP card, and you have to wait in line for qualification approval. In truth, the young intern standing nearby was also scared out of her wits, stammering as she spoke. Qualifications? Yeah. Chuan reached into the pocket of his jeans, which were worth barely a few bucks, and pulled out a black card. He gently placed it on the glass counter. It made a crisp clack sound. Go swipe it. The password is 6A's. If the money doesn't go through, I'll eat this counter. Yet Chuan's voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable, oppressive aura that made the young intern tremble as she reached out to take the card, then looked toward the store manager with questioning eyes. The store manager was an experienced middle-aged man. He had been observing Yi Chuan the entire time. The moment he saw that black card, his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of pinholes. That was the legendary Centurion Black card with no limit, no weight. This material is even more premium than the Centurion Black card. This is the Supreme Dragon card. There are only exactly 10 of these in the entire world. Shut up and bring the POS machine here right now. I will swipe the card myself. Keep acting. Keep putting on a show. Who are you trying to fool with a barbershop membership card? Let's see what the hell you can swipe out of that. Ha 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 ha. Sun Haoyu was still mocking him. Transaction successful. At that moment, the sound of the POS machine printing the receipt rang out. It was like a final verdict. The manager stared at the receipt. The string of numbers wasn't so long it made his eyes blur. He nearly dropped to his knees in front of Yi Chuan. My esteemed guest, the transaction of $100 billion is complete. We will package these watches for you immediately. May I ask if we should have them delivered to your residence? No need. The manager respectfully returned the black card with both hands. He bowed a full 90 degrees. His posture was so humble, it was almost servile. Yi Chuan casually picked up the $10 billion Starry Sky watch. He slipped it onto his wrist. Then he pointed to the remaining ones. Find a bag to put all these in. I want to take them with me now. A bag? The manager froze. Putting $100 billion worth of watches in a bag? Only then did the reality of the situation hit Sun Haoyu and Zhao Mengyao. How is this possible? Didn't the Ai family go bankrupt? Wasn't he kicked out of his own house? When he swiped the card just now, he didn't even bat an eye. Sun Haoyu felt his face, as if it had been struck by a heavenly slap. The pain was bone deep. Just moments ago, he was showing off his $5 billion watch. And this guy just casually bought over $70 billion worth of the real deal, like he was buying vegetables at the market and carrying them home. Zhao Mingyao's eyes widened and her jaw dropped. She stared intently at the watch, the brilliant starry sky on Yi Chuan's wrist. She was sick with regret. Yi Chuan Zhao Mingyao's voice trembled. She forced a seductive smile. Shoving Sun Haoyu's hand away, she moved closer to Yi Chuan. So, you were just testing me, weren't you? The truth is, I never forgot you. It was that bastard Sun Haoyu. He wouldn't leave me alone. I never loved him, to begin with. Get lost. Yi Chuan didn't even spare her a glance. He uttered a single, cold word. Who was it just now who said they'd eat them all? He looked over at Sun Haoyu, whose face was drained of all color. Sun Haoyu stumbled back a step, bumping into a display case. What do you want? My dad is... I'm not interested in your dad. Yi Chuan turned and walked out. As he passed the senior saleswoman who had looked down on him earlier, he paused for a moment. So the commission for this order, give it all to her. Yi Chuan pointed toward the young intern. As for you, I hope I don't see you here the next time I come. Understood, I'll fire her immediately, Xiao Shen. What are you waiting for? Thank the gentleman. Your commission today is enough to buy a house in Jiangcheng, you know. Stepping out of the Patek Philippe store, Yi Chuan glanced at his system panel. Spent 100 billion. Remaining limit 250 billion. Time remaining 1 hour and 20 minutes. He walked straight into the high-end Armani store next door. Sir, would you like me to give you a tour? All the new arrivals for this season on this floor. Get me 3 sets of each in a size large. Also, grab a few of those limited edition crocodile leather suitcases from the store next door. Use them to pack the clothes, and pack up 100 sets from the Halen home collection. Send them to my brothers at the delivery station to use as hand rags. For the next hour, the entire SKP mall was thrown into an unprecedented state of shock. A mysterious tycoon dressed in ordinary Uniqlo was sweeping through the mall with the force of a conquering army and clearing out all the luxury brand stores. He didn't even look at the prices. He only ever said one thing: swipe the card, bag it up. The general manager of the mall personally led a team of 20 security guards to follow right behind him. Their only job was to carry his purchases. Sun Haoyu and Zhao Mengyao were like two abandoned clowns. They followed in a daze, wondering, where in the world did he get so much money? Zhao Mengyao dug her nails deep into her own flesh. Her eyes were bloodshot. It has to be dirty money. I'm going to report him. Dear valued customers, today SCAP will be closing half an hour early. A distinguished guest has booked the entire Hanging Garden restaurant on the rooftop. He has also invited the world-renowned piano prodigy, Long Long, to give a live performance. The entire mall erupted in a commotion. Ye Chuan stood at the top of the second-floor escalator. The corner of his mouth curled into a smirk. This was another one of the spending tasks arranged by the system. This service fee alone cost him $17 billion. He glanced at the system panel. Mission complete. Current amount spent, $100 million. Congratulations, host, for completing the first splurge achievement. Distributing rewards, 10x critical rebate on cash spent. $3.5 trillion in cash has been transferred to your account. The transfer contract for 51% of SKP Mall shares has taken effect. Charm and physique stats have been enhanced. Ye Chuan paused for a second. SKP is mine now. The mall's general manager received a call from his superior. I wasn't aware of your arrival, boss. Please forgive my failure to welcome you from afar. I am Zhao Jiwan, the general manager of SKP. You have acquired 51% of the group's shares. From this moment on, everything here is under your command. His kneeling stunned everyone around them into silence. Sun Haoyu was so scared he collapsed onto the floor. Ye Chuan looked at Zhao Jiwan kneeling on the ground. Get up. Since I'm the boss now, I'll issue my first order. He raised his hand and pointed towards Sun Haoyu not far away. And Zhao Mengyao. These two are ruining my shopping mood. Throw them out for me. From now on, all malls under the SCAPI system are to ban these two from ever setting foot inside again. And that fake watch on that guy's wrist, it's an eyesore. Do him a favor and take it off. Yes, sir. The 20 guards charged forward like a pack of hungry wolves. Let me go, no Ye Chuan. It's me, Mengyao. My father won't let you get away with this. I'm the one you love most. You just wait. You just wait. I'll make you pay for this. Soon, Haoyu was still screaming. The next second, he was pinned to the ground. The watch was forcibly ripped from his wrist. A single stomp shattered it to pieces. Their pathetic screams gradually faded into the distance. Ye Chuan stood at the highest point of the escalator, looking down upon the commercial empire that now belonged to him. His phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? May I ask if this is Mr. Ye Chuan? My name is Shen Yunshu. I heard you just acquired SKP. I'm currently at the coffee shop downstairs from the mall. Shen Yunshu, so she's been here this whole time. Alright, I happen to be hungry anyway, but I don't drink coffee. I want to eat spicy malatang. Will President Shen grace me with her presence? Of course. As long as you're willing to meet me, I'll eat anything. Yeah. Chuan hung up the phone. A brilliant smile spread across his face. Looks like the next game is going to be even more interesting. The Zhongcheng night was like a thick, dark curtain. It was pierced by the clamor of Hongsing Street in the old district, burning brilliant, strange holes into the darkness. A Rolls-Royce with the license plate Jing A888, a phantom, an aristocrat gracing the slums, carefully navigated the potholed, waterlogged streets. It stopped in front of Fat Sis's Malatang. The car door opened automatically. Shen Yunshu stepped out. Ye Chuan was sitting on a red plastic stool by the roadside. He looked up, his hands busy, snapping a pair of disposable chopsticks in two. What's wrong, President Shen? Is it too dirty for you? Piled beside him were dozens of luxury shopping bags from his recent sweep of the Scott Mall. Yeah, Chuan blew the dust off another plastic stool. Have a seat. The beef balls here are the most springy and delicious in all of Zhongcheng. Shen Yunshu took a deep breath. She sat down opposite Ye Chuan. Mr. Yi, you have quite the sense of humor. Shen Yunshu looked at Ye Chuan. I would have thought a figure of your stature, with assets in the tens of trillions, who can casually buy scalp, would have higher standards for a dining environment. Money is meant to make life freer, not to put shackles on yourself. Go ahead and order, President Shen. You did say it was your treat. Don't hold back just because it's cheap. Shen Yunshu looked at the menu with prices like beef balls, 7,000, seaweed, 4,000. Her emotions were incredibly complex. She had investigated Ye Chuan. Just 24 hours ago, he was a nobody, risking his life to deliver food in a torrential downpour for a few measly dollars. But now he sat across from her, with a profound and inscrutable aura. Even a seasoned veteran of the business world like her couldn't see through him. Just get a little of everything. Shen Yunshu put the menu down. Mr. Yi, let's get down to business. About you saving Tang Tang and also your acquisition of Skypai. Let's not talk business while we're eating. It's bad for the stomach. Ma'am, 2 large bowls, medium spicy. And add lots of vinegar, please. All right, Xiao Chuan, bringing your girlfriend here today? She's so pretty. This young lady looks a bit thin, though. You need to eat more. This meal is on me, little sister. Shen Yunshu's face flushed red to the tips of her ears as she quickly waved her hands. No, that's not it. I'm her creditor. Yi Chuan chimed in with a smile. He casually grabbed the bottle of vinegar. He poured a generous amount into Shen Yunshu's bowl. Try it. The vinegar is the soul of this dish. Being interrupted by Ye Chuan like that, Shen Yunshu's tense, negotiation-ready demeanor instantly dissipated by half. She hesitated for a moment, then she picked up a piece of tender cabbage and put it in her mouth. Spicy, hot, and refreshingly sour. The intense stimulation on her taste buds made her let out an involuntary little cough. Tears were about to well up in her eyes. Eat slowly. No one's going to fight you for it. Ye Chuan handed her a napkin. Shen Yunshu took the napkin. She wiped the corner of her mouth, a little flustered. In that moment, she shed her usual suit of impenetrable armor, revealing a bit of her lively, everyday self. Shen Yunshu suddenly spoke up. Her voice was a few shades deeper. Ye Chuan, thank you. Not just for saving Tong Tong, but also, the truth is, Skiop. They were always giving our company a hard time about our advertising space. If you hadn't acquired Skype and renewed our contract, the Shen Group's new product launch press conference next month would have probably been cancelled. Ye Chuan ate his beef ball. As he did, he activated his golden eyes. Lines of red data appeared above her head, dancing wildly. Target, Shen Yunshu. Identity, chairman of the Shen Group. Current status, extremely anxious. Nearing breaking point. Core crisis. 1. Capital chain rupture. Trapped and sabotaged by competitor, Tiansheng Fund. Capital shortfall of up to $2.8 trillion. Core crisis 2. Internal betrayal. Design director Zhu Peng has been bought by Tiansheng Fund. Plans to leak core bid price during tomorrow morning's auction. Crisis 3. Signed a vow of stakes agreement with the family's council of elders. If there is no profit this quarter, she will be stripped of her CEO rights and be forced to marry the young master of Tiansheng Fund. Countdown to collapse. 12 hours. Ye Chuan's chewing slowed to a halt. How tragic! This isn't a powerful female CEO. She's more like a piece of Tang monk's flesh being roasted over a fire. Ye Chuan put down his chopsticks. He looked at her with a half-smile. Forgive me for being blunt. What you're really worried about right now probably isn't the venue for your press conference, is it? From what I know, looking at your company's books, I'm afraid you can't even scrape together the few $100 million to rent the SCOP venue anymore. Shen Yunshu stared intently at Ye Chuan. How do you know that? The company's financial situation is top secret. Not even the vice presidents know. Are you a corporate spy? I'm the one who saved your life. Not a spy. Ye Chuan pulled out a napkin. He naturally took her hand. He helped her wipe away a grease stain on the back of it. His fingers were long, slender, and warm. The moment they touched Shen Yunshu's cold skin, a shiver, like a jolt of electricity, ran through her. But she didn't pull her hand away. Besides, I don't just know that you're out of cash. And I also know that the reason you are in such a miserable state is because there's a traitor right by your side. Shen Yunshu's face turned deathly pale. Right at that moment, her phone buzzed violently. The caller ID showed design director Zhu Peng. Shen Yunshu shot Ye Chuan a glance. Ye Chuan gestured for her to go ahead. She answered the call. Hello, Director Zhu. How are the preparations for tomorrow's bidding documents coming along? An anxious and apologetic voice came from the other end of the line. President Shen, something terrible has happened. Our servers were just attacked by hackers. That's right, all the design drafts and data for the Luzhou project have been locked and completely destroyed. Even the backup hard drives are ruined. Shen Yunshu abruptly shot up from her seat. Her movement was so forceful that the red plastic chair behind her toppled over. How is that even possible? Our firewall is top tier. Besides, the backup drives are in your safe. How could they possibly be ruined? I don't know either. President Shin, the bidding is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. There's absolutely no time to redo it now. President Shen, it seems the rival company has had a plan ready for a long time. We're doomed. The phone slipped from Shen Yunshu's hand. It hit the ground. Her entire body went limp, as if her spine had been ripped out. She slumped, about to sit back down. But she forgot the chair had already tipped over. Just as she was about to crash onto the greasy floor, Ye Chuan caught her with one hand. With his other hand, he calmly picked up the phone from the ground. He spoke to Director Zhu, who was still on the line. Great acting. The Oscars owe you a golden statuette. The person on the other end was clearly stunned. Who the hell are you? Where's President Shen? Ye Chuan laughed into the receiver. Who I am isn't important. What's important is Zhu Peng. You better start praying right now. That 70 billion settlement Tiansheng capital gave you should be just enough to buy you a really nice wheelchair. With that, Ye Chuan hung up and tossed the phone back onto the table. Shen Yunshu leaned against Ye Chuan's chest, trembling all over. Her eyes were completely hollow. In this moment, she was no longer the ice-cold female CEO, but just an incredibly fragile woman pushed to her absolute limit. It's over. That was our last chance to turn things around. The design drafts are gone. Tomorrow, we'll be in breach of contract. I'll have to pay a penalty of 1 trillion. The Shen family will eat me alive. What are you panicking for? Ye Chuan's voice rang out crystal clear amidst the noisy night market. His calmness carried a magical power that put people at ease. He helped Shen Yunshu stand up straight, placed both hands on her shoulders, and forced her to look him dead in the eye. If the designs are gone, we can redraw them. If the money is gone, we can earn it back. As long as you're still breathing, the game isn't over. Redraw them? There's no time. Shen Yunshu's eyes were red. Tears threatened to spill over. We have less than 10 hours left. That was the blood, sweat, and tears of dozens of designers. Shush! Over 3 grueling months. Who says there's no time? Ye Chuan let go of her. He turned around and picked up the pile of designer bags from the ground, a glint flashing in his eyes, with the excitement of a hunter spotting its prey. Let's go. Go where? To your company. If that guy Zhu Peng says the data is destroyed, then I'll show him what a real miracle looks like. Tonight, we're going ghost hunting. Half an hour later, the Shen Group building in the Jiangcheng CBD. The entire building was brightly lit. The design department was in absolute chaos. Dozens of designers were tearing their hair out in front of pitch-black computer screens. Some were crying, some were cursing. Director Zhu Peng stood in the middle, putting on a show of directing the tech staff in emergency repairs. But out of the corner of his eye, he kept glancing at his watch, a barely noticeable smirk of triumph playing on his lips. Once tonight is over, and Shen Yunshu falls from grace tomorrow, he can take the money and become the vice president at Tiansheng Capital. Just then, a commotion broke out at the door. President Shen is here. Zhu Peng instantly changed his expression, putting on a look of profound distress, and stepped forward to greet her. President Shen, you're finally here. I've failed you. However, he didn't see the devastated and despairing Shen Yunshu he had imagined. Instead, Shen Yunshu strode in confidently, though there were still traces of tears in her eyes. Her aura was sharper and more imposing than usual, and right beside her was a young man dressed in Armani, yet carrying a takeout bag of Malatang. A young man? President Shen, who is this? Zhu Peng was dumbfounded. I'm here to deliver food. Ye Chuan casually placed the Malatang bag on the conference table, then walked straight toward Zhu Peng. Zhu Peng felt a chill run down his spine under Ye Chuan's piercing gaze. President Shen, at a time like this, you're bringing an outsider in to cause trouble? Director Zhu, you're overacting a bit. Ye Chuan pointed at the row of black-screened computers. You said the servers were hacked, and all the data was wiped clean? Of course, Zhu Peng replied forcefully. The tech department is doing everything they can to fix it. Is that so? Ye Chuan turned and walked over to a main control computer. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Host is using god-tier hacker skill, infiltrating the intranet, tracing data streams, restoring source code. The black window, previously filled with gibberish, suddenly started scrolling wildly with numbers. Lines of green code flashed by at a dizzying speed. The head of the tech department stood nearby, staring in absolute shock. What kind of hand speed is that? Is he coding and reverse tracing at the same time? In less than a minute. Clack! Ye Chuan hit the enter key. The massive screen, which had been pitch black, suddenly lit up. But what it displayed wasn't the design drafts. It was a playback of surveillance footage, along with detailed screenshots of a chat history. The footage showed Zhu Peng from half an hour ago, plugging a USB drive into the main server and sending a message to a contact, saved as President Zhao Tiansheng. It's done. The data is wiped. That stupid bitch Shen Yunshu is finished. The entire room fell dead silent. The glares of all the designers turned into daggers, stabbing simultaneously toward Zhu Peng. Zhu Peng's face instantly turned the color of pig liver. This is edited? This is a frame-up. President Shen, you'd rather believe a delivery boy over me? Shen Yunshu looked up at the big screen. Her heart ached, as if it were being sliced open. Security, grab this backstabbing bastard. Call the police immediately. Yes, ma'am. The security guards, who had been holding back for a while, immediately rushed forward. Shen Yunshu, you dare arrest me? Without my design team, you're dead meat tomorrow anyway. Let's see how you turn this around. Zhu Peng was still screaming like a maniac as he was dragged away. Catching the mole was certainly satisfying, but the design drafts were truly gone. The office once again fell into a despairing silence. The tech director timidly asked, sir, since you managed to recover the surveillance footage, can you recover the design drafts too? They were physically destroyed. There's no way to recover them. Ye Chuan shook his head. Everyone's hearts sank to the bottom of an abyss. But then, Ye Chuan's demeanor shifted. He walked over to the head seat and sat down, opened a bowl of spicy noodles, and casually said, those garbage designs are better off destroyed anyway. Using that trash for the bidding would just make you a laughingstock. What did you just say? A design manager flew into a rage. That was 3 months of our blood, sweat, and tears. Ye Chuan completely ignored the furious crowd. Instead, he looked at Shen Yunshu. Got a stylus? And a tablet? Shen Yunshu was taken aback. She subconsciously handed over her tablet, along with her stylus. What are you going to do? Ye Chuan took the stylus, spun it expertly in his hand. At that moment, the system in his head booted up once again. Detected host is in a god-tier rescue situation, requesting item exchange, future peak, advertising creativity manual 2035 edition. In Ye Chuan's eyes, an explosion of colors far beyond this era instantly flooded his vision. Lines and layouts. It was a visual explosion straight from the future. If you guys consider that trash your masterpiece, Ye Chuan said casually as he drew, then tonight I'll teach you what real art looks like. Over the next hour, the entire design staff of the Shen Group had their worldviews completely shattered and rebuilt. The man they had looked down on as a mere delivery boy was now acting like a human 8-die printer. His hand speed was so fast it left afterimages, one exquisitely perfect concept art after another, with visually explosive styles was continuously born on the screen. This lighting perspective, this is a flawless fusion of cyberpunk and traditional aesthetics. The way he handles the lighting, my god, it's divine. This is an absolute masterpiece. The assistant who had doubted Ye Chuan just moments ago was now practically kneeling beside him, offering him water. When the final main perspective drawing was finished, Ye Chuan set the stylus down and lightly rolled his wrist. On the screen was a poster titled Rebirth. Amidst a ruined landscape, a mechanical rose was blooming in the middle of a raging storm. The imagery perfectly mirrored Ye Chuan himself, and it perfectly mirrored Shen Yunshu in her moment of despair. Shen Yunshu stared at the artwork. Tears silently rolled down her cheeks. Ye Chuan, she turned to look at the man who was now looking down, eating that bowl of cold, spicy noodles. In that very moment, her emotional defenses completely crumbled. Ye Chuan swallowed a mouthful of food and said casually, all done. Next up, it's time to reel in the net. At tomorrow morning's bidding, I'm going to make Tianjin capital puke up everything they've swallowed with interest. He stood up and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the panoramic night view of Jiangcheng. President Shen, do you dare to play a high-stakes game with me? Shen Yunshu walked up beside him, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. The confusion in her eyes was gone, replaced by an unwavering resolve. Why wouldn't I? Even if we lose, at worst, I'll just deliver food with you. Ye Chuan smiled. I'm afraid delivering food won't work. He tilted his head. Because the passenger seat of my ride is reserved exclusively for the boss lady. Jiangcheng International Exhibition Center. Today was the final bidding day for the landmark project, the key commercial complex in the Jiangcheng New District. This was a massive, multi-billion-dollar prize that would determine who becomes the commercial overlord of Jiangcheng for the next 10 years. An incredibly flashy neon green Lamborghini roared, its engine tearing through the air. It arrogantly parked right in the exclusive VIP spot, even crossing over the parking lines. The scissor doors swung up. A young man in a white suit, with slicked-back, perfectly styled hair stepped out. Wu Zixian, the crown prince of Tiansheng capital. Following behind him was Zhu Peng, wearing a sycophantic expression, along with Shen Shiqian, who had just been bailed out last night. Young Master Wu, rest assured, Shen Yunshu is completely finished. Zhu Peng sported two massive dark circles under his eyes. The swelling on his face hadn't entirely faded, but his eyes gleamed with unnatural excitement. I handled the data myself. Even the hard drives were demagnetized with industrial magnets. Unless a golden immortal descends from the heavens, there's no way she can bring anything today. Except a blank piece of paper to embarrass herself. Good job. Once the Xian family goes bankrupt, that arrogant bitch will be entirely at my mercy, won't she? Just as he finished speaking, a black Audi A6 slowly pulled in. It was Shen Yunshu's car. Compared to the fleet of supercars around it, this car looked incredibly modest, even a bit shabby. Wu Zixian let out a long whistle and swaggered over with Zhu Peng, blocking the car door. Well, if it isn't our great beauty, Miss Shen. The car door opened. Shen Yunshu stepped out. After a night of torment and pulling herself together, she looked surprisingly radiant today. Her peach blossom eyes held none of yesterday's anxiety, and from the driver's seat, a young man stepped out. It was Yi Chuan. Today, to match Shen Yunshu, he had specifically changed into a dark gray casual suit. No tie. Yet, he exuded a lazy, effortless, king-like aura. In his hand, he carried a silver metal briefcase. He said coldly, "A good dog doesn't block the way." Shen Yunshu chimed in coldly. "Shen Yunshu, you're at death's door and you still have a smart mouth. I heard your design department was crying for their mommies last night. Even the servers burned down. So what's the plan? Did you come here today just to announce your withdrawal and beg me to acquire your company?" His greedy eyes roamed all over Shen Yunshu's body. He lowered his voice. "Actually, if you just come to my room tonight, I might bump up the acquisition price a little." Before he could even finish his sentence, a hand suddenly reached out, waving in front of Wu Zixian's face like swatting a fly. "Hey, you there! Keep your bad breath to yourself. You're stinking up my boss. Who the hell are you? Since when is it your turn to speak here? You're just a lowly driver. Young Master Wu, this is the delivery boy from last night. It was his big mouth that ruined our plans." "That's hilarious." Wu Zixian laughed so hard he was doubling over. "Shen Yunshu, are you out of your mind? Bringing a delivery boy to a multi-billion-dollar project bidding? Ha 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 ha! What's the plan? Are you going to give the judges spicy noodles to bribe them? Ha ha!" Ye Chuan activated his golden eye, targeting Wu Zixian. Status: extremely confident. Kidney deficiency, level 2. Possessions: reserve price. Bidding documents hidden in inner pocket. A small bottle of blue pills has bribed Professor Liu, chairman of the review board. Agreed secret signal. Touching the nose, transfer history is stored in the old man's encrypted phone. Bribing the judges, huh? Interesting. You don't have a permit, do you? That first seal pill you took last night must have been expired, huh? Your forehead is looking awfully dark. I'm afraid you're going to face a bloody disaster today. Also, that old man Liu has a massive appetite. That little bit of tea money you gave him might not even be enough to pick his teeth with. Wu Zixian's smile instantly froze on his face. His pupils shrank violently. How does this punk know about the first seal pills? More importantly, how does he know about Professor Liu? Before he could even react, Ye Chuan had already grabbed Shen Yunshu's arm. As if sidestepping a pile of trash, he walked straight toward the elevator. "Ye Chuan, what did you just say to him?" Why did his face look so awful? "Nothing. I just read his fortune. President Shen, just focus on your presentation later. Leave the rest to me." The bidding hall. 5 judges sat imposingly at the presidium. The bald old man, sitting right in the middle, was Professor Liu, a highly respected figure in the industry. The audience was packed with heavyweights from Jiangcheng's business world. A swarm of reporters with all sorts of cameras and lenses had filled up the back rows. Next, we invite Tiansheng Capital to present their proposal. As soon as the host finished speaking, Wu Zixian led Zhu Peng onto the stage, even though Ye Chuan had just scared the living daylights out of him. Now that he was on his own turf, Wu Zixian regained his usual arrogant and domineering demeanor. Respected judges, distinguished guests, the proposal Tiansheng Capital brings to you today is Urban Oasis. We will build a sky garden, integrating ecology, environmental protection, and technology. As each slide was presented, the audience began to murmur. That's our original proposal. She gripped the hem of her shirt tightly, her knuckles turning white. That's right. Even though Zhu Peng had deleted the Shen Group's original files, he had brought a copy to Wu Zixian. The current Urban Oasis, aside from the changed name, had contents that were an exact replica of the Shen Group's previous design drafts. Shen Yunshu gritted her teeth. This double helix sky corridor structure is our original patent. This photosynthetic glass wall is absolutely our exclusive concept. Yish Chuan, standing below the stage, let out a cold laugh. He took out his phone. System, hack into the venue's network. Connection to projection system, successful. So, you want to play the plagiarism game, huh? Fine. I'll give you a plagiarism scandal you won't forget. This is the culmination of our team's hard work over the past 6 months. It is absolutely one of a kind. Just then, the large screen suddenly flashed. It changed into a massive split-screen comparison. On the left was the Urban Oasis currently being presented. On the right was none other than the Shen Group. It was a video recording of an internal meeting from 3 months ago. The entire hall fell instantly silent, followed immediately by a wave of commotion. Holy crap, isn't that the Shen Group's old proposal? Even the color scheme is identical. This is just blatant theft. A big company like Tiansheng Capital would pull a stunt like this? On stage, Zhou Peng looked like a duck with its neck wrung. His voice abruptly cut off. He stared in horror at the large screen. A cold sweat instantly soaked through the back of his shirt. What the hell is this? Who put this up? Turn it off now. What are you doing? Do you want me to kill you? I didn't touch anything. The computer's not responding anymore. I think it's been infected with a virus. Before they could even scramble to unplug the power cord, a line of text suddenly appeared on the large screen. Large blood-red characters. Epitaph of a thief. The original is dead. Isn't it because you only know how to pick up trash? Then the screen went black. Everything returned to normal. Ye Chuan was sitting below the stage. He carefully put away the phone he collected from Gong Yuming. He casually popped a mint that Shen Yunshu had given him into his mouth. Candy. Does this count as turning the tables? Shen Yunshu stared at the scene, stunned. All the worry in her heart vanished completely. Ye Chuan crunched down on the mint. This is what you call warming up the stage. Look at that old Professor Liu over there. His face is ashen, just as I expected from the judging panel. Professor Liu, in the judges' seats, was now on pins and needles. He had originally taken money to give Tiansheng a high score. But now, with clear evidence of plagiarism right in front of hundreds of people, if he still dared to cover for them, his reputation would be in tatters by tomorrow. Reluctantly, Professor Liu picked up the microphone. Ahem. The proposal from Tiansheng Capital is under serious dispute. We will set it aside for now. Next up, Wu Zixian trudged off the stage. You bastard, you did this, didn't you? You just wait. The moment you step out that door, I'll make sure your corpse is rotting in the street. Is this how you beg for mercy? You'd better bring a lot of tissues with you later. I'm afraid you'll cry so hard it'll be ugly. Shen Yunshu took a deep breath and stood up. At that moment, all eyes in the hall turned to her. Some looked on with pity, others waited for the drama to unfold, and some were suspicious. After all, the plagiarism fiasco just now had made everyone extremely curious about the Shen Group's new proposal. Shen Yunshu walked onto the stage. She wasn't holding a USB drive, nor was she carrying any paper documents. She simply stood silently at the center of the podium. The spotlight shone down on her. She looked like a queen about to be crowned. Ladies and gentlemen, Shen Yunshu's voice was cold and firm. Just now, you all saw the so-called Urban Oasis. That's right, that was once a rejected draft from our Shen Group. Why was it a rejected draft? Because it's completely outdated. The entire hall erupted in murmurs. Although that proposal was suspected of plagiarism, in professional circles, it was definitely considered top tier. To not waste any more of everyone's time, Assistant Yi, please begin. Ye Chuan nodded. He opened the silver metal briefcase, but he didn't take out any documents. Instead, he took out a fist-sized black crystal. This was a portable holographic projector, created by the system and available for exchange. The 2035 model, priced at over 700,000. Ye Chuan placed the crystal in the center of the stage. What is that thing? Everyone craned their necks to get a better look. The next second, a beam of deep blue light shot straight up. It instantly expanded outwards, enveloping the entire exhibition hall. The brightly lit hall suddenly went dark. In its place was a massive, lifelike virtual city, hovering in midair. No longer were there dry presentation slides. No longer were there flat, two-dimensional renderings. It was as if everyone had been transported, immersed in a future city, with a heavy cyberpunk aesthetic. Giant neon signs flickered overhead. You could even clearly see the expressions on the virtual pedestrians as they strolled through the streets, and right in the center of it all, a structure resembling a blooming mechanical lotus slowly rotated. This was the Shen Group's new proposal, Rebirth Lotus. What kind of technology is this? Glasses-free 3D? No, this is a full immersion holographic projection. What am I seeing right now? Is this a Hollywood blockbuster movie set? This design is mind-blowing. Compared to this, that urban oasis from before looks like a countryside outhouse. The entire hall erupted. Reporters frantically snapped pictures. The camera flashes lit up the auditorium like daylight. Shen Yunshu stood within that giant virtual lotus, like a fairy amidst the blossoms. She gently swiped her hand across the virtual interface. The entire structure immediately deconstructed and reassembled, showcasing a commercial ecosystem that left people breathless with admiration. We don't define the future. We create it. There was no longer any room for debate. This was a massacre, a crushing blow delivered from a completely different league. Professor Liu, who had been trying to cause trouble just moments ago, was now gaping in astonishment, so shocked that his dentures nearly fell out. In the face of such a miracle, if he dared to utter a single word of dissent, he would likely be torn to shreds by the frenzied crowd. I give it a perfect score. This is a work of art. This is an epoch-making masterpiece. An excited judge stood up and applauded. Thunderous applause erupted. It went on and on. Down in the audience, Wu Zixian's face was drained of all color. He collapsed into his seat. He knew it was over. No matter how much money he had or how extensive his connections were, in the face of this absolute display of power, it all became a joke. Shen Yunshu looked down at the audience. Seeing the ecstatic crowd, her eyes welled up slightly. She looked towards Ye Chuan. In his hand was the 700,000 crystal. He gave her a wink and mouthed the words, "Awesome, boss." The bidding presentation came to an end. The Shen Group, with an overwhelming advantage, won the Future City project. As soon as the news broke, the Shen Group's stock price, which had been plummeting, immediately shot up vertically. It held steady at its limit up. CEO Shen, may I ask about that brand new technology? Was it developed in-house by your company? CEO Shen, who was the lead architect for that design proposal? Could you tell us a little about them? Shen Yunshu tried to look through the crowd. She was looking for Ye Chuan. However, the biggest hero of the event was nowhere to be found. In an alley behind the exhibition center, Ye Chuan was leaning against a wall, smoking. Kneeling before him were two men. One was the bruised and battered Zhou Peng. The other was a trembling Wu Zixian. Surrounding them were more than 10 men in black suits, sunglasses, and with imposing builds. Their leader was none other than Brother Dao, the loan shark who had recently submitted to him. He was now the captain of the security team under Ye Chuan. Grandpa Ye, I was wrong. I was blind not to recognize your greatness. Wu Zixian had lost all of his earlier arrogance. He glanced at Brother Dao, who was holding an iron bar as thick as his wrist. He was so scared he'd pissed his pants. Please, spare me. I'm from the Wu family. I'll give you however much money you want. Ha 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 ha. Ye Chuan blew out a ring of smoke and leaned down. You think I need money? Ye Chuan smiled. He took out a check. He filled in a string of numbers. Then he threw it right in Wu Zixian's face. This is $1.4 million. Consider it compensation for my emotional distress. For that delivery boy comment you made earlier? Of course, you're the one compensating me. Not the other way around. Wu Zixian was dumbfounded. I'll pay. You're right. I don't need money, but I hate it when people owe me. Brother Dio, Teach young Master Wu how to write an EOU. As for the interest rate, just use the same loan sharking rate he got when he was gambling in Macau. You got it, young Master Ye. Don't you worry. I'm an expert in this field. Brother Dao chuckled sinisterly. As he approached, Ye Chuan stood up, ignoring the pathetic screams behind him. Just as he stepped out of the alley, his phone rang. Ye Chuan, where are you? The celebration party is about to start. You're the guest of honor. I won't start without you. Forget the party. I'm not a fan of those kinds of places. Ye Chuan looked up at the CBD building in the distance. The giant electronic billboard for the Shen Group was scrolling with text. CEO Shen, don't forget our deal. Save the passenger seat for me. Shen Yunshu was silent for 2 seconds on the other end of the line. Ye Chuan, I don't want a passenger. I want you to be the one behind the wheel, driving this car for the rest of our lives. Will you? This was practically a confession. Ye Chuan was stunned. The system in his head suddenly blared, a piercing red alert. Warning, warning. Host has been detected overusing future technology. This has attracted the attention of underworld organizations. S-class threat incoming. Black Mamba, the world's top assassin organization, has accepted a contract. Target, Ye Chuan. Bounty, 100 million. Client, Wu Zixian's father of the Wu family. Countdown, 30 minutes, until the first assassination attempt begins. Beat the puppy, and the old dog comes out. He said to Shen Yunshu on the other end of the line, Yunshu, cancel the party. Go home immediately. Lock all the doors and windows. Have Brother Dao bring all his men to surround your villa. No matter what you hear, do not go outside. What's going on? Ye Chuan, don't scare me. It's nothing. Ye Chuan raised his head and looked into the distance. A black helicopter was circling in the sky. Just some trash that needs to be taken out. This time, I'll let the entire underworld of Jianggeng know who the real king is. In the old decommissioned industrial district, the air seemed to thicken, heavy as lead. The black helicopter didn't open fire directly. Instead, it circled like a vulture. After circling twice, it stopped above an abandoned, half-finished building, a full kilometer away. Ye Chuan stood in the middle of a deserted intersection. The cigarette between his fingers had burned down to the filter. Come on out, Ye Chuan said coldly. Ye Chuan flicked the ash from his cigarette. As a top international assassin organization, do you really have to hide in the sewers like rats? The surrounding area was deathly still. Suddenly, a faint whistle cut through the air. It was like the sigh of the Grim Reaper. If it were an ordinary person, they would have already had their skull blown open by that custom-made, armor-piercing bullet. But Ye Chuan was no ordinary man. Through the vision of his golden eye, the bullet hurtling toward him at Mach 3 was now dragging a long, trailing heat signature, moving as sluggishly as a snail. Ye Chuan didn't even bother to move his feet. He merely tilted his head. The movement was so slight, it was almost imperceptible. The bullet grazed a lock of his hair, slamming straight into the concrete pillar behind him, blasting a crater the size of a bowl. Is that all you've got? Ye Chuan looked up. His gaze pierced through the 500-meter distance, locking onto his target with absolute precision. The Black Mamba sniper hiding behind the billboard, nothing impressive. On the rooftop of an abandoned building 500 meters away, the sniper codenamed Radiation stared through his scope, seeing the man still standing perfectly still, even flipping him the middle finger. Cold sweat instantly soaked his tactical suit. Captain, reporting in, the target dodged it. I repeat, he dodged it. That was an M200 sniper rifle from 500 meters away. How the hell is that even possible? Shut up, Team B, Team C. Move in and eliminate him at close range. Don't give him a second to breathe. Speak of the devil. The moment the order was given, they moved out. From the surrounding shadows, 12 pitch-black phantoms instantly dashed out. They were clad in full-body tactical exoskeletons, armed with suppressed tactical submachine guns and high-frequency vibro daggers. Their movements were precise and synchronized, like a pack of silent wolves. Surrounding Ye Chuan from all directions, Ye Chuan stood in the center of the encirclement. His face showed no fear. Instead, it revealed a bloodthirsty excitement. System, I want to buy a few things. Detected host is in an S-rank combat environment. Smart store recommendations unlocked. Single-use defensive shield, 50 million. Can withstand any attack except a nuclear bomb. Duration, 10 minutes. Terminator T-800, 1-hour trial card, 100 million. Grandmaster Bajiquan permanent, 200 million. Basic telekinesis, 500 million. I'll take Bajiquan. 200 million deducted from balance, infusing Grandmaster Bajikwan's skills into host's body, infusion complete. A terrifying surge of heat instantly swept through Yi Chuan's entire body. His bones let out crisp, cracking sounds. His lean muscles instantly bulged and tightened. Within every single muscle fiber, it felt as if a mountain-shattering power was being compressed. At that moment, the two leading assassins reached him. Two high-frequency vibro-daggers flashed with a cold gleam, thrusting straight toward Yi Chuan's throat and heart from the left and right. A cold voice echoed in their ears. "Too slow, you trash." Yi Chuan didn't even bother throwing a punch. He simply dropped his shoulder slightly and suddenly slammed it hard into the assassin on the left. A dull, bone-jarring thud rang out. The assassin was wearing a Kevlar bulletproof vest and even equipped with an exoskeleton suit. Yet, it was as if a high-speed train, running at full throttle, had rammed directly into him. His body flew backward like a cannonball, brutally crashing right through a red brick wall on the side of the street. The remaining 10 assassins abruptly halted. Their eyes were filled with absolute terror. "Open fire, shoot him now, don't let him get close." Captain Viper roared frantically through the earpiece. "Shoot, kill that bastard!" Countless muzzle flashes instantly erupted. A dense hail of bullets poured down on Yi Chuan like a torrential storm. But Yi Chuan was already moving with his system-enhanced footwork. He became like a phantom streak of lightning, weaving effortlessly through the rain of bullets. His golden eye was pushed to its absolute limit. The trajectory of every single bullet appeared as crystal-clear lines in his vision. For the bullets he couldn't dodge, he simply reached out his hand. Yi Chuan's fingers moved as fast as lightning, incredibly catching a bullet right out of midair. "Monster! He's a freaking monster! My turn!" Yi Chuan flicked the bullet away. The next 3 minutes were a completely one-sided massacre. Yi Chuan's figure was like the Grim Reaper's scythe. Wherever he passed, bodies fell. He unleashed the fierce, explosive power of Bajikwan to its absolute peak. Heart-piercing elbow, Yama's three-point strike, heaven-shaking cannon punch. Every single move was simple and direct, yet packed with devastating, destructive force. The exoskeleton suits before him were as flimsy as paper. One assassin tried to attack with a grenade launcher, but before he could even pull the trigger, Yi Chuan snapped his arm with a kick. The gun hit the ground. A loud boom sent that very assassin flying into the sky. When Yi Chuan kicked away the final assassin, the entire street returned to a dead silence. Yi Chuan stood in the center of the slaughterhouse. The Armani suit he was wearing didn't even have a single drop of blood on it. Only in those deep eyes of his did the golden flame still burn brightly. He looked up at the roof of the abandoned building. There was still one last big fish up there. On the rooftop, the hand secretly aiming the sniper rifle was trembling uncontrollably. He had been a mercenary for 20 years. He had assassinated warlords in the Philippines and bombed oil fields in the Middle East. What kind of ruthless bastards hadn't he seen? But a guy like Yi Chuan, barehanded, in just 3 minutes, completely wiping out an elite squad armed to the teeth? He had never even heard of such a thing. Retreat, fall back immediately. The intel was completely wrong. This isn't an S-rank mission. This is an SIS-rank suicide mission. Ghost Snake screamed into his earpiece as he prepared to escape via zipline. The moment he turned around, "Since you're already here, why not stay for a cup of tea?" He abruptly drew the Desert Eagle from his thigh holster, spun around, and fired a shot. The gunshot rang out, but Yi Chuan had vanished. The next second, Ghost Snake felt a cold chill on his wrist. A bone-deep agony washed over him. His right hand, still gripping the Desert Eagle, hit the ground with a heavy thud. The cut was as smooth as a mirror, and right in front of him, Yi Chuan was toying with a thin, rusty piece of metal. That was still stained with blood. It was just a beer can tab he had casually picked up from the ground. Plucking a flower or a leaf, anything can be a lethal weapon. Ghost Snake clutched his severed wrist, screaming in agony as he collapsed to his knees. His eyes were filled with absolute despair and terror. "Don't kill me. I'm the head of Black Mamba's Asian division. If you kill me, Black Mamba will hunt you to the ends of the earth." "Yeah." Shuin looked down at him from above. "An ant trying to threaten me. Do you know what I hate the most? It's when someone threatens me with something I have an endless supply of, like money, for instance." Yi Chuan pulled out his phone and opened an interface. It was the dark web portal the system had just unlocked. All-Seeing Eye Authority. Secret organization, Black Mamba. Headquarters located on a small island in the international waters of the Pacific Ocean. Total assets? Approximately $30 billion. Current leader, codename Poison King. True identity, illegitimate son of a fallen European aristocrat. How do you know all this? This is top secret classified intel system exchange for the upgraded Hand of God, world-class hacker edition. Infiltrate Black Mamba's headquarters accounts and freeze all their funds. Also, issue a new bounty to all their assassins. 3 seconds later, Viper's custom communicator suddenly vibrated like crazy. And it wasn't just him. At this very moment, over 3,000 Black Mamba assassins across the globe simultaneously received a top-tier code red directive. Supreme bounty target is the entire Poison King family. Primary targets, Wu Xixian and his father, Wu Diaomao. Client ID, God. Bounty, $1 billion. Additional clause, whoever brings in Wu Diaomao's head will become the next leader of Black Mamba. The current leader, Poison King, has been bought out by a supreme tycoon. For the price of $5 trillion, the organization has now been renamed Divine Retribution. Complete acquisition, Viper muttered to himself, feeling as if his entire worldview had just collapsed. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine that someone could just straight up buy an entire assassin organization. What? Don't believe me? If you don't believe it, check your bank account. Consider it a welcoming gift. I just sent every surviving assassin a $1 million change of ownership bonus. Viper's phone chimed. Balance update, plus 1,000 tools. At that moment, the way Viper looked at Ye Chuan completely changed. It was no longer fear. It was fanatical worship. Boss, he kowtowed frantically. His forehead slammed against the floor with heavy thuds. This subordinate was blind to not recognize my master. I am willing to walk through fire and climb mountains of blades for you, boss, that old bastard Wu Bijiomao. I'll go slaughter him right now. Your hand is severed. You're nothing but a cripple now. I don't keep useless trash. Viper's face turned ashen. But then, Ye Chuan suddenly changed his tone. I have a pill right here. Eat it, and your arm will grow back. What's more, your strength will triple. In the system store, it's listed at $7 million. But this pill is poisonous. You'll need to take an antidote every 3 months. If you ever dare to betray me, I'll eat it. Viper snatched the pill without hesitation and swallowed it whole. A miraculous scene unfolded. At Viper's severed wrist, the flesh and muscle began to writhe. The wound stopped bleeding and scabbed over at a visible rate. This is a miracle. A divine miracle. Viper burst into tears of overwhelming emotion. Ye Chuan turned and walked toward the edge of the roof. Clean up these corpses. I don't want to see any news reports about this shootout tomorrow. Go and notify everyone. The Yu family, I want to play with them slowly. Don't let them die right away. First, sever their capital supply chain. Then, cut off all their social connections. Finally, I want them kneeling at the gates of the Shane Group, begging for death. Understood? After tonight, the Wu family will be completely erased from the underworld. Ye Chuan leaped off the edge. He plummeted straight down from the 30-story building. In midair, he activated the anti-gravity wingsuit he had just exchanged from the system. Looking like a giant black bat, he glided away and vanished into the night. Half an hour later, Shen Yunshu's private villa was brightly lit. In the living room, Shen Yunshu was curled up on the sofa, hugging a pillow. The TV was still on, but she wasn't paying any attention to it. Tang Tang had already fallen asleep beside her. Tears still lingered at the corners of her eyes. Please, you can't let anything happen to you. Shen Yunshu clasped her hands together, silently praying. Right at that moment, the sound of the fingerprint lock opening came from the front door. Welcome home! Shen Yunshu sprang up like a coiled spring. She didn't even have time to put on her slippers, rushing barefoot straight to the door. The door opened. Sorry, I'm a bit late. I passed by the night market and saw this crawfish place looked pretty good, so I picked some up. It's your favorite 13 spices flavor. Shen Yunshu could no longer hold back her emotions. She threw herself straight into Ye Chuan's arms, hugging his waist tightly. Her tears instantly soaked his shirt. Where did you go? Do you have any idea how worried I was? I heard the helicopters. I thought, silly girl, didn't I tell you? I just had some trash to take care of. He looked up at the night sky outside the window. The dark clouds had completely dissipated, revealing a bright, clear moon. Tonight, in Jingchang, I call the shots. No one will ever be able to hurt you again. Ye Chuan, who exactly are you? Ye Chuan lowered his head and kissed away the tear at the corner of her eye. I am your supreme tycoon and your knight. Meanwhile, at the Wu family villa on the other side of Jiangcheng, the chairman of the Wu group, Wu Diaomao, was sitting in his study, anxiously waiting for good news. Why is there still no response? What the hell is that useless ghost snake doing? Wu Diaomao viciously crushed his cigar into the ashtray. Suddenly, the study door was thrown open. The butler rushed in, panicking, his face pale with terror. Master, it's a disaster. Something terrible has happened. What are you panicking for? Did the sky fall or something? Wu Diaomao roared furiously. The butler, trembling, handed over a tablet. The sky really has fallen. Look, the internet is flooded with bounties targeting our family. Our stocks, just now, lost 90% of their value in pre-market trading, and over 10 of our major shareholders just called simultaneously, demanding to pull their investments. What? Wu Diaomao snatched the tablet. With just one glance, he instantly felt the world spinning around him. He violently coughed up a mouthful of blood. On the dark web portal hung a massive, blown-up portrait of him. Beneath it were blood-red words, Global Manhunt. The Wu family is doomed. Bounty, $1 billion. Who did this? Wu Diaomao bellowed, like a dying wild beast. Just then, the phone in the study rang. It was an unknown number. His hands trembled with fear. From the other end of the line came a voice that had been digitally altered, yet still exuded a bone-chilling coldness. Good evening, Chairman Wu. I heard you were looking for Black Mamba to take my life. Too bad Black Mamba now belongs to the Ai family. Enjoy this final night. When the sun rises tomorrow, it will be the end of the Wu family. The call disconnected. The receiver slipped from Wu Diaomao's hand. He collapsed back into his chair, his eyes completely hollow. The dazzling city lights outside the window, which once belonged to the Yu family, at this very moment seemed to have become the guiding lights to hell. Mornings in Jiangcheng were usually busy and orderly, but today, the atmosphere across the entire city was suffocated by a maddening frenzy. It all stemmed from a mysterious organization named Divine Retribution. The bounty posted on the dark web last night, $1 billion. A sum so massive it could buy a small country. It caused the global underworld to completely explode. At the Yu Group headquarters, this glass skyscraper, once the ultimate symbol of wealth and power in Jiangcheng, was now surrounded so tightly that not even an ant could slip through. But the people swarming the main entrance weren't reporters, nor were they workers demanding unpaid wages. They were crowds of people with vicious glares, with suspicious, bulging objects tucked into their waistbands. In the chairman's office on the top floor, Wu Diaomao seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. He sat paralyzed in his rosewood chair, worth millions, his hair a disheveled mess, his eyes bloodshot, his hand tightly gripped a satellite phone. Hello? Chairman? It's me, old Wu. I'm not asking for much, just please send someone to protect me. What? The signal is bad? Hello? Hello? Furious, Wu Diaomao hurled the satellite phone at the floor-to-ceiling window. A loud crash echoed as the impact left a white mark on the bulletproof glass, reflecting the dense crowd below, swarming like ants. Right at that moment, the heavy mahogany door of the office was kicked open from the outside. The person who walked in wasn't an assassin, but his secretary. But now, this secretary, who was usually so obedient and submissive, was holding a cardboard box with a cold expression. Chairman Wu, here is your resignation letter. The secretary threw a piece of paper right at Wu Diaomao's face. I printed it out for you. Also, the entire finance department has already quit. You dare rebel against me? I am the chairman. I'm not dead yet, President Wu. Stop being so naive. The Wu Group right now, the stocks have plummeted so hard they're basically scrap paper. The banks have frozen all your assets. Even the utility bills for this building haven't been paid in 3 months. You're nothing but a debtor now. Who would still treat you as the chairman? With that, the secretary turned and walked away without looking back. Before leaving, she casually swiped the solid gold pen holder from his desk. You bitch, stop right there. Give me back my gold pen holder. Wu Diaomao roared and tried to give chase, but 2 burly men at the door blocked his way. They were the bodyguards he had once paid a fortune to hire. One of the bodyguards, chewing gum, spoke. Save your breath. My brother and I are still here because someone else made a better offer. To keep an eye on you, make sure you don't kill yourself. Who is it? Who the hell is it? The bodyguard said nothing. He simply stepped aside respectfully, clearing a path. Down the hall, the sound of steady, unhurried footsteps echoed. Leather shoes tapped against the marble floor. Each crisp click seemed to stomp on the hearts of the Wu father and son. A young man in a custom-tailored deep blue suit with a stunning cold beauty on his arm strolled in leisurely. Behind him was a large group of elites in sharp suits. Each one carried a briefcase. They looked like a professional acquisition team. "Good morning, Chairman Wu." Yichuan entered the office. His eyes swept across the ridiculously extravagant space. Finally, his gaze landed on Wu Diaomeo's pale face. "So this is the office of Jiang Cheng's richest man? Your taste is a little tacky." Yichuan casually picked up a golden cicada from the desk. He tossed it in the air a few times with disdain. Then, with a clatter, he threw it straight into the trash. Wu Diaomeo glared at the man before him. The venom in his eyes was practically spilling out. "It was you! You're the one who put out the bounty, you devil! What the hell do you want? Even murder has its limits. What you're doing is illegal." Yichuan pulled out a chair for Shen Yunshu to sit. He himself leaned lazily against the edge of the desk. "Last night, when you sent assassins to kill me, why didn't you think about what was illegal then? So it's okay for the powerful to start fires, but the common folk can't even light a lamp." Yichuan snapped his fingers. A lawyer from behind him stepped forward. He opened his briefcase and took out a thick stack of documents. He spread them out in front of Wu Diaomao. "Mr. Wu, allow me to introduce myself. I am the senior legal representative for Mr. Yichuan. This is a transfer agreement for all assets of the Wu Group. According to our calculations, the Wu Group is currently 230 billion in debt. Due to the impact of certain unforeseen circumstances, its current valuation is negative 5 billion. Essentially, this is a company awaiting bankruptcy liquidation. However, my employer, Mr. Ye Chuan, out of the kindness of his heart, is willing to acquire it." "Acquire? How much are you offering? Just call off the bounty, and the company is yours. You can have it all." Yichuan smiled. He held up one finger. 100 billion? Yichuan shook his head. 1 billion? Wu Diaomao guessed desperately. Yichuan still shook his head. 100 million? Wu Diaomao's heart sank into an abyss. Yichuan's smile vanished. He pulled a coin from his pocket. It was a coin long out of circulation, a single, rusted 1-cent coin. The coin spun on the tabletop. It made a grinding, screeching sound. Finally, it toppled over in front of Wu Diaomao. "To buy all the assets your Wu family has accumulated over 3 generations, including this building, all the real estate in your name, your cars, your stocks, even the suit on your back." Wu Diaomao was so enraged he spat out a mouthful of blood. "This is outrageous!" He slammed the table and stood up. "I'd rather burn it all or give it to a beggar than give it to you." Yichuan's eyes filled with mock pity. "Go on, try it, but let me remind you, there are over 3,000 bounty hunters downstairs, and they're getting impatient. If I were to rescind the capture alive order, how do you think they'd storm this place?" Wu Diaomao froze instantly. "I want to live. I don't want to die." Wu Zixian completely broke down. He crawled over and clung to Wu Diaomao's leg. He wailed pathetically, tears and snot streaming down his face. Looking at his worthless son, the light in Wu Diaomao's eyes completely died out. Trembling, Wu Diaomao picked up the pen and looked at Yichuan. "Do you really hate me this much?" The moment he signed his name, he felt as if his soul had been drained from his body. The empire he had spent a lifetime building was sold for a single cent. To a man he once considered no more than an ant, a lowly delivery boy. "So, do you like your gift?" Yichuan took the signed contract and handed it directly to Shen Yunshu behind him. Shen Yunshu held the heavy file in her hands. This was once a corporate behemoth, one that had nearly pushed the Shen family to the brink of collapse, and now, with just a few simple words, it was all hers. "Yichuan, this is too much." Shen Yunshu felt like she was dreaming. "We're family. Why be so formal? Besides, I can't be bothered to manage these broken companies. From now on, you're the head of the Wu Group." No, we should call it the Shenhao Shen Group now, the chairwoman of our #1 branch." He patted Wu Diaomao on the shoulder, as if comforting a stray dog. "All right, wipe that funereal look off your face. To celebrate this successful acquisition, I've decided to take you two out for a little life experience." "Experience what?" Wu Diaomao had a bad feeling about this. "Shopping, of course." Yichuan snapped his fingers. "System activating tycoons, humiliating spending spree mode. Host detected, initiating a climactic plot point. Mission issued." Take the former billionaire shopping. Mission requirement in front of the Wu father and son. Buy everything they ever wanted, but couldn't bring themselves to spend money on, and force them to be your porters. An hour later, at Jiangcheng's most luxurious car showroom. The world's top supercars were on display here. This used to be Wu Zixian's favorite place to show off, but every time he came, he could only stare at the more common models worth a few million. As for the one in the very center of the showroom, the 120 million yuan Bugatti La Voiture Noire, he never even dared to touch it. But today, he was here. Only this time as a porter. Wu Zixian, wearing a tattered shirt, trailed behind Ye Chuan, drenched in sweat, and Wu Diaomao was like an old servant, head bowed, not daring to make a sound. This car looked familiar. Ye Chuan pointed at the Bugatti. He looked at Wu Zixian with a faint, knowing smile. I heard that for this car, you begged your father for half a year, and he still wouldn't buy it for you. Wu Zixian swallowed hard. His face was a mask of longing and envy. That's right. You like it? If you like it, take a good long look. Ye Chuan walked over to the car. He patted the Bugatti's hood, because from now on, you'll only be driving it in your dreams. After saying that, Ye Chuan turned to the sales manager. Ring it up. No need for a test drive. Just give me the keys. Yes, Mr. Ye. The manager's hands trembled with excitement. Ye Chuan took the keys. Then, under Wu Zixian's despairing gaze, he casually tossed the keys to Daozi behind him. Daozi, this car is for you. Use it for grocery runs from now on. Stop driving that beat-up old Jinbei van. It's embarrassing. The entire showroom fell silent. A 120 million yuan Bugatti for grocery runs, and he just gave it to his bodyguard? Daozi held the keys, tears streaming down his face. He immediately dropped to his knees before Ye Chuan. Boss, you're like a second father to me. From this day on, my life is yours. Wu Zixian felt worse than if he'd eaten shit. The supercar of his dreams was casually given away by Ye Chuan to some thug. Don't worry, we're not done yet. Ye Chuan continued, walking forward. That Rolls Royce? Buy it. That Ferrari LaFerrari? Buy it too. The color's too flashy. Have it repainted black. And those Aston Martins over there, give one to each of the cleaning ladies at my company. It'll make their commute easier. In just half an hour, Ye Chuan had bought out the entire showroom. The total spending came to 800 million. Wu Diaomao and Wu Zixian shuffled along behind him. Their arms were loaded with free gifts from all the luxury cars, car covers, air fresheners. They were as exhausted as two dead dogs. Every time they saw Ye Chuan swipe his card, their hearts skipped a beat. Ye Chuan, I'm begging you, please stop buying things we were wrong. Just give us a quick end. Wu Diaomao finally collapsed. He fell to his knees, sobbing wretchedly. Ye Chuan stopped walking. He turned and looked at the father and son with immense satisfaction. That year, when you kicked me out of the Yi family, when you forced me to make deliveries in the pouring rain, did you ever give me a quick end? Ye Chuan's eyes instantly turned bone-chillingly cold. I told you, I would make you wish you were dead. A fate worse than death. Daozi, take these 2 pieces of trash to the police station. Tell the chief to arrange a luxury single room for them. And while you're at it, find them a few enthusiastic roommates to take good care of them. I hear young Master Wu has such fair, delicate skin. I'm sure he'll be very popular. Understood, young Master Yi? Don't you worry. I know the rules in there very well. Daozi grinned maliciously. He dragged the Wu father and son out like 2 dead dogs. Ye Chuan, you can't do this. I'm your brother. I was wrong. Wu Zixian's desperate, pathetic screams echoed through the showroom before finally fading away. After dealing with the Wu family, Ye Chuan let out a long sigh. What's wrong? Aren't you happy? Shen Yunshu came to his side. She gently took his arm. It's nothing. I'm just a little bored. Ye Chuan looked out at the bustling street beyond the showroom. The Wu family collapsed too quickly. There was no challenge at all. Shen Yunshu smiled. If anyone else heard you say that, they'd probably beat you to death. That was the Wu family. They were the sky over Jiangqing. Well, the sky has changed now. Ye Chuan took her hand. Let's go. I'll take you somewhere. Where? To see your new office. The top floor of the Wu Group building. The view from up there is amazing. Perfect for a heart-to-heart talk. Just as the two were about to leave, Ye Chuan's phone suddenly rang. It was an encrypted number from an unknown source. Ye Chuan frowned slightly. He answered the call. On the other end of the line was an elderly but powerful voice. It carried the authority of someone used to being in command. "Young man, I must admit, you've caused quite a stir in Jiangcheng these past few days." Ye Chuan's eyes narrowed slightly. "Who are you?" "Who I am is not important," the old man said calmly. "What's important is that even though the Wu family and that worthless fool Wu Diaomeo wouldn't be missed if they died, he was, after all, a dog that I raised. And even when you beat a dog, you should still consider its master. So you beat the pup, and the old dog shows up. What, you want to put out a bounty too?" Ye Chuan wasn't the least bit afraid. In fact, he was a little excited. Finally, a worthy opponent. "Bounties? I don't play such childish games." The old man's voice held a hint of mockery. "Young man, you may have some money and you may have some skill, but in the face of true power, money is just a number, and brute force is for the foolish. This is the butler, the Lu family of the capital. Our young master is interested in the tycoon system you possess." "Oh, my mistake. I mean your ability to conjure money out of thin air. He's very interested." Ye Chuan's pupils contracted. He knew the system had already issued a warning. The old man's voice continued. "In 3 days, the Lu family will send people to Jiangcheng to clean up the Wu family's mess. When that time comes, I hope you'll know your place. Hand over what you have. If you don't, you will learn the meaning of true despair." The call ended. Ye Chuan stood frozen, phone still in hand. He was silent for a long moment. The capital is making its move. They're a truly powerful and prestigious family. Legend says they're a colossal entity that holds the economic lifeblood of the entire nation. Compared to the Lu family, the Wu family is less than nothing. And what's more, it seems they've discovered the system's existence. "Ye Chuan, what's wrong?" "Who was that on the phone?" Shen Yunshu noticed something was off with Ye Chuan. She asked with concern as he snapped back to his senses. The gravity in his eyes vanished in an instant. In its place was an even more fervent fighting spirit. "It's nothing, just some arrogant old fool." Ye Chuan put his phone away. He looked north, the direction of the capital. "Yunshu, it looks like our peaceful days are over. The next game might get a little exciting." "System!" Ye Chuan called out in his mind, detecting signs that the host is about to face a world-level crisis. Activating system upgrade mission. Mission, Tycoon's offensive. Objective, before the Lu family arrives, you must elevate your power, assets, military strength, and personal connections to a dominant level. Reward advanced, future tech military factory, 1 set of primary blueprints. Recruitment order, can recruit 100 genetically engineered warriors with absolute loyalty. Unlimited cash flow mode. For the next 24 hours, all expenditures, regardless of the amount, will not only be free of charge, but will also be refunded at double the amount. Hearing the third reward, Ye Chuan smiled. It was a smile full of arrogance, a smile of absolute untamed confidence. Unlimited double cash back. The Lu family wants to play economic blockade, do they? Fine, I'll use money to punch a giant hole right through the Lu family's capital. Ye Chuan took Shen Yunshu's hand. He strode towards the Bugatti he had just bought. "Time to spend. Tonight, I'm going to double Jiangcheng's GDP. The Caesar Palace yacht." This was the venue for tonight's charity gala of the century. Though it was called a charity event, in reality, it was a show of force by Western capitalists and their domestic proxy forces. The main organizer was the Rothschild family, and the co-organizer was explicitly listed as the Lu family of the capital. The scale of this event far surpassed any before it. The attendees were no longer just local bosses from Jiangcheng. They were titans from Wall Street, European aristocrats, and the scions of the nation's top families. When Ye Chuan's black Hongqi pulled up at the end of the red carpet, countless camera flashes went off. Ye Chuan, with Shen Yunshu on his arm in a stunning gown, stepped out of the car. Tonight, Shen Yunshu wore a starlight flow gown designed by Ye Chuan himself. The skirt was made from a futuristic material obtained from the system. With every step she took, it was as if an entire galaxy swirled around her. She instantly outshone all the Hollywood starlets and high society ladies present. "So, that's Ye Chuan? I heard he created a 6th-generation engine. Is that for real? He's offended both the Rothschilds and the Lu family. I'm afraid tonight's party is a trap set just for him." The whispers from the crowd were endless. Ye Chuan ignored them all. He led Shen Yunshu straight into the grand hall. Inside, the hall was magnificently gilded, but right in the center of the hall stood a massive display platform. It was covered by a red cloth. Surrounding it were foreign bodyguards, armed and ready. "That's tonight's final auction item." A cold voice came from the side. A man in a tang suit, twirling two iron balls in his hand, approached them. Following him was Lu Jun, his face twisted with resentment, along with Henry, the man Yichuan had just angered into fleeing. This middle-aged man was the second most powerful figure in the Alu family, Lu Jun's uncle, the man known as the Smiling Tiger, Lu Cheng Yuan. "Mr. Yeah, I've heard so much about you." Lu Cheng Yuan gave a fake smile and clasped his hands in greeting. "I am Lu Cheng Yuan. I hear my worthless nephew has received quite a bit of your care here in Jiangcheng." "Care is too strong a word," Yi Chuan said nonchalantly. "I just helped him fix his car, and while I was at it, I taught him a lesson on how to be a decent human being." Enraged, Lu Jun tried to rush forward but was stopped by Lu Cheng Yuan. "It's good for a young man to have a sharp tongue. But some things can't be kept with words alone." Lu Cheng Yuan pointed towards the stage. "Tonight's auction was specially prepared for you by Mr. Henry. I hope your wallet is as big as your mouth." After speaking, the three of them shared a knowing laugh. Then they turned and walked towards the VIP section. What are they planning? Shen Yunshu had a bad feeling. Whatever they're planning, Yichuan's eyes turned cold. "They won't be taking a single cent from me tonight." The gala began. After some long-winded speeches, the main event, the auction, finally started. The first few items were jewelry and calligraphy scrolls. Though valuable, Yichuan didn't make a move. He was waiting for their so-called trump card. Finally, Henry stepped onto the auction stage. Henry's face was alight with the pleasure of imminent revenge. His eyes locked onto Yichuan in the audience. Tonight's final auction item is a national treasure of the Jie Kingdom, lost overseas for 100 years. He dramatically ripped off the red cloth. A collective gasp echoed through the hall. Inside the glass case was an object covered in dirt, but still radiating a majestic aura. It was a bronze dragon head. It's one of the 12 zodiac heads from the old summer palace, the most mysterious one, the dragon head, which had been missing until now. This dragon head is a spoil of war that our family acquired during the war a century ago. Henry deliberately emphasized the words spoil of war. For every citizen of the Xia kingdom present, this was a blatant insult. The starting bid is $1 billion. Each increment must be no less than 100 million. Henry looked at Yichuan with a provocative gaze. "Mr. Yeah, I hear you're a patriotic businessman. Now is the time to prove that patriotism. If you don't buy it, then tomorrow this dragon head will be placed in a museum, forever labeled as proof of the conquest of the East." The Xia Kingdom businessmen below were furious. "Shameless. This is robbery." "How arrogant. He's clearly slapping us all in the face, but that price is just too high." All eyes turned to Yichuan. It was an impossible choice. To buy it meant being treated like a fat pig, ready for slaughter. Not buying it meant watching a national treasure be humiliated. His reputation would be ruined. Lu Cheng Yuan sneered from the side. "Yichuan, why aren't you bidding? Where's your unlimited capital now? And your patriotism? Turns out you're just a coward after all." Yichuan slowly stood up. He adjusted the button on his vest, his calm gaze fixed on Henry on the stage. $1 billion. Yichuan raised his paddle. "I bid 10 billion. The entire hall fell dead silent. $10 billion. Even Henry was stunned. He had only intended to trap Yichuan for a few billion. He never expected the man to raise the bid tenfold in one go. "Yichuan, you're insane." Shen Yunshu tugged at his sleeve. "It's a trap set by these robbers. If you give them the money, they'll just turn on you." "Don't worry." Yichuan patted her hand gently. "Whether I pay or not isn't up to them." On stage, Henry snapped back to reality. He was ecstatic. With these $10 billion, not only would his family's crisis be resolved, but he would also make a massive profit. 10 billion. Going once. 10 billion. Going twice. Sold. Henry couldn't wait and slammed the gavel. "Mr. Yeah, please transfer the funds immediately. We only accept instant payment through the SWIFT system." He had already arranged everything. As soon as Yichuan's money entered the SWIFT system, he would use his authority to seize the funds. Then, he would freeze the transaction under the guise of an anti-money laundering investigation. In the end, the national treasure wouldn't be delivered, and the money wouldn't be returned. It was the height of thuggery. Yichuan took out his black card. He handed it to an approaching staff member. The transfer interface appeared on the large screen. Just as everyone was holding their breath, waiting for that astronomical sum to be transferred, the large screen suddenly flashed. It turned a blood-red color. Warning, transaction failed. Error code 404. Your bank has been acquired. What? Henry froze. What do you mean the bank has been acquired? This is the United Atlantic Bank. It's our family's private bank. Yichuan stood below the stage, hands in his pockets, wearing a brilliant smile. My apologies, Mr. Henry. Just 1 minute before the auction began, these $10 billion on the U.S. secondary market completed a hostile takeover of the United Atlantic Bank. In other words, Yichuan pointed at the post machine. I am now using my own money to transfer it from my left hand to my right, all within my own bank. As for you, the former shareholder of this bank, due to suspicion of severe financial fraud and embezzlement of client funds, Yichuan snapped his fingers. The doors to the banquet hall were kicked open. Officers in Interpol uniforms stormed in. The lead officer held up a red notice. Henry Rothschild, you are suspected of stock market manipulation and are under arrest for large-scale commercial fraud. What? No, this is impossible. Henry watched the officers rushing towards him, completely broken. I'm a Rothschild. I have immunity, Mr. Liu. Save me, Mr. Liu. He looked desperately towards Liu Chengyuan. However, Liu Chengyuan's face had already gone deathly pale. He sat frozen in his chair, not daring to move an inch, because he could feel several red laser sights locked onto the center of his forehead. They were the snipers of the Phantom Legion. Yeah, Chuan waved his hand dismissively. Henry was dragged away like a dead dog. The dragon head was left on the stage. Yichuan walked onto the platform. With one hand, he effortlessly lifted the heavy bronze dragon head. Holding the spoil of war, Yichuan looked down at the audience, at the foreign capitalists, who were gaping in astonishment. His voice was like thunder, ringing out like a lightning strike. From this day forward, the tables have turned. Everything that belongs to us, I will take back piece by piece, whether by buying or by taking. Below the stage, an eruption of applause and cheers like a tidal wave. Countless businessmen from the Xia kingdom had tears welling in their eyes. In this moment, a century of pent-up humiliation was finally released. Shen Yunshu gazed at the man on stage, shining with an immense aura. Her eyes were filled with adoration. This was her man, taking on the entire world by himself and still coming out on top. But just as the whole hall was cheering, in Yichuan's mind, an unprecedented notification from the system suddenly sounded. Host has completed the achievement, shattering the old capital. System is undergoing ultimate upgrade. Upgrade complete. Tycoon System version 3.0. Lord of the Plane activated. New function unlocked. Plane Store. No longer limited to Earth's technology. Unlocked. Level 1 Cosmic Civilization Technology Antimatter Energy. Gene Lock unlocked. Spatial Folding Technology. Sovereign Domain. Within a 100-meter radius of the host, you have absolute authority to alter physical laws. For example, doubling gravity or freezing time for 1 second. Final mission initiated. A massive surprise for the global plutocrats. Yichuan looked at these new functions. A fierce golden light flared in his eyes. Even the surrounding air, due to the overflowing energy, formed ripples visible to the naked eye. Planar Sovereign. Right at that moment, Liu Chengyuan suddenly stood up. He looked at Yichuan without a trace of fear. Instead, a grotesque smile crept onto his face. Yichuan, brilliant. Truly brilliant. Liu Chengyuan clapped slowly as he walked toward Yichuan. It seems the rumors are true. You really do have that thing on you. Originally, our Liu family wanted to spare your life, to use you as a money-making tool. But looking at you now, you've grown completely out of our control. Liu Chengyuan pulled a black remote control from his chest pocket. Know what this is? This Caesar Palace cruise ship has been rigged by us. 3 tons of liquid explosives. I just need to press this. And no matter how much money you have, no matter what dark tech you possess, everything will be blown to ashes in the blink of an eye. Yichuan, hand over your system right now. Or else, let all the elites on this ship, along with the woman you love, be buried with you. The cheering of the entire crowd came to a dead halt. Shen Yunshu's face turned pale. Liu Chengyuan, you're insane. There are hundreds of innocent people on this ship. Innocent? Liu Chengyuan laughed maniacally. Those who achieve great things don't sweat the small stuff. as long as I can get the tycoon system, let alone a few hundred people. Even if 10,000 people in Jiangcheng die, it's completely worth it, Yichuan. Get on your knees and unbind the system right now. Otherwise, I'll press the button. Lu Chengyuan's finger was already resting on the red button. Yichuan looked at him, like he was watching a jumping clown. Time stop. Yichuan softly uttered the words, activating the sovereign domain. Time froze for 1 second. The entire world suddenly turned grayscale. The flying spittle, the terrified expressions, the rolling ocean waves, even the downward motion of Lu Chengyuan's finger, everything came to a dead halt in this instant. Yichuan moved. Like he was taking a stroll in his own backyard, he casually walked up to Lu Chengyuan, reached out, and took the remote from his hand. Then, he swung his arm and delivered a devastating slap right across Lu Chengyuan's face. Time resumed its flow. Lu Chengyuan's vision blurred. The remote in his hand was gone. Immediately after, an agonizing pain exploded across half his face. His entire body spun in place 3 times like a top. Several teeth flew out, along with a spray of blood. Lu Chengyuan clutched his face, staring in horror a few meters away. Yichuan was casually playing with the remote. Are you a man or a ghost? How did you do that? Look at what just happened. Teleportation. Yichuan crushed the remote, letting the pieces fall to the ground. I told you, in this domain, I am God. Yichuan stepped in front of Lu Chengyuan, looking down at the man who was once the arrogant second-in-command of the Liu family. It's time for the Liu family's curtain call. This ship won't sink tonight, but the Liu family's ship is definitely going down tonight. The party continues. However, the next act will be a judgment, colluding with foreign forces to murder a meritorious official. The evidence of planting a bomb in a public place is undeniable. Long Yi, throw him to the fishes. Yichuan, you wouldn't dare. I'm from the Liu family. My older brother is... A massive splash echoed as he hit the water, cutting off all of Lu Chengyuan's screaming. The freezing river water, bottomless and dark, was just like Yichuan's eyes right now. He looked toward the north. The Liu family's final trump card is gone. Next, it's time to head to the capital and collect that biggest debt. Shen Yunshu walked up beside him and held his hand tightly. Even though her palms were still trembling, her gaze was incredibly resolute. I'll go with you. Yichuan squeezed her hand back, looking at the dragon head representing sovereign power in his hand. All right, what we want to take back isn't just justice, but a new era that belongs to us. Late autumn in the capital was bleak and desolate. The Liu family's old manor sat at the foot of the western hills. This architecture had witnessed the rise and fall of 3 dynasties, surviving countless power struggles. It was a towering behemoth that never fell. But today, it was shrouded in an unprecedented fear. Dark clouds blanketed the sky, hanging so low it felt like you could touch them. Inside Zhongyi Hall, the main hall of the Liu family, the atmosphere was suffocating to the extreme. The current patriarch of the Liu family, the man who could once make the capital tremble with a single stomp of his foot, Old Master Lu Jun, was now sitting upright on the Grand Master's chair. But the 2 lion's head walnuts that he had been rolling in his hands for half his life had been crushed into fine powder. Below him, Lu Jiahao, who had just escaped back, was kneeling prostrate on the ground. On both sides of the great hall sat 7 old men, their auras contained and restrained. Their temples were bulging. These men were the very foundation of the Liu family, the 8 legions of the Liu clan. Every single one of them was a grandmaster-level figure in the world of ancient martial arts. Second uncle, he was thrown into the river to feed the fish. Lu Jiao's entire body was still trembling uncontrollably. Lu Jun swung his cane. You worthless bastard! All you're good for is boosting the enemy's morale. And diminishing our own! Lu Jun stood up. Though he was over 80, the killing intent forged from mountains of corpses and seas of blood was still terrifying to behold. Sorcery? There's no such thing as sorcery in this world. It's merely some form of unknown super technology. He scanned the room, his eyes as sharp as a hawk's. My Liu family has stood firm in the capital for hundreds of years. What kind of storms haven't we weathered? Back then, not even the 8-Nation Alliance could destroy the Liu family when they invaded. let alone some upstart nouveau riche. On what grounds does he dare to cause trouble for my Lu family? Lu Jun slammed his cane onto the floor. The floor tiles instantly shattered. Activate the Skynet defense system. That's the system we spent 20 billion on. From the Western company Blackwater, a laser defense array we purchased. It can even intercept cruise missiles. Everyone, listen to my command. Guard the inner courtyard. If that man surnamed you dares to take even half a step through the main gate, kill him without mercy. A crazed, resolute glint flashed in Lu Jun's eyes. Release the thing from the forbidden grounds in the back mountain. If he wants to play with inhuman tricks, then I'll show him what a real monster is. Hearing about that thing, the 8 Grandmaster-level powerhouses on the scene all had their expressions change in unison. A deep sense of apprehension appeared in their eyes, even fear. Just then, a deep, muffled thunderclap echoed from high above the clouds. But this thunder didn't sound natural. It was more like some kind of colossal engine, creating a sonic boom as it tore through the lower atmosphere. Everyone in the Lu family's ancestral home instinctively rushed out of the Great Hall and looked up at the sky. The next second, everyone's pupils contracted sharply. Above them, the thick, dark clouds looked as if they were being torn apart by an invisible beast, ripping a massive hole in the sky. A colossal, pitch-black airship, shaped like a sharp sword, hovered silently in the sky above the Lu family estate. It blotted out the sky, casting a giant shadow that weighed heavily on everyone's heart. No propellers, no exhaust vents, it just hung there, perfectly still, defying all known laws of physics. It was the interspatial airship, redeemed from the system shop. The Heaven's Punishment airship, a stripped-down civilian model. Although it was just a simplified version, it was more than enough to suppress the natives of this planet. More than enough. What is that? Lu Jun collapsed to the ground, so terrified he wet himself. This is Yechuan's vehicle? An alien. He's really an alien. Lu Jun's hands were also trembling, but he still struggled to his feet and screamed into his radio. Anti-air team, open fire, shoot it down for me. The rockeries surrounding the Lu family estate suddenly split open. 4 futuristic-looking laser cannons emerged, along with 6 anti-aircraft missile launchers. Flames lit up the sky. 6 heat-seeking missiles, trailing long plumes of smoke, streaked toward the massive black warship in the air. Immediately after, beams of high-energy lasers, like the light swords of death himself, lanced straight for the warship's underbelly. This was the Lu family's final trump card, firepower enough to annihilate an entire modern armored division. Yet, faced with this world-destroying assault, the black starship didn't even bother to raise its shields. Only at its prow did a faint blue light begin to glow. System command activated. Modify physical laws. Nullify kinetic energy. A bizarre scene unfolded. The 6 missiles, flying at Mach 3, when they were still 100 meters from the airship, suddenly fizzled out like spent fireworks. Their velocity instantly dropped to 0. They simply fell from the sky like dead weight. The missiles plummeted into the open courtyards of the Lu estate, into the rockeries, into the fish ponds. A series of violent explosions immediately engulfed the Lu family's anti-air positions. As for the 4 laser beams, when they struck the airship's hull, it was like a flashlight shining on a mirror. They were reflected directly back. The 4 laser cannons were instantly melted by their own beams, reduced to a pile of molten scrap. In the blink of an eye, the $10 billion defense line the Lu family was so proud of was utterly obliterated. When the dust settled, the Lu family estate was a scene of chaos. Rubble was everywhere. Fallen walls and the agonizing screams of the guards filled the air. Lu Jun stood at the entrance of Zhongyi Hall. His face was covered in dust, his eyes vacant. The Skynet he was so proud of was gone. Just like that. Just then, from the belly of the airship above, a hatch slowly opened. 2 figures leaped out from a height of 1,000 meters. No parachutes, no wingsuits, a complete free fall. "Ah, they're insane, that's suicide!" a member of the Lu clan cried out in horror. But when they were just 10 meters from the ground, the momentum of their fall suddenly reversed, defying inertia. Then, they landed gently on the ground. Not a single speck of dust was disturbed. It was Yechuan and Shen Yunshu. Yechuan wore a black trench coat over the simple suit he used to wear in Jiangcheng. As for Shen Yunshu, she had changed into a sleek, white combat suit. In her hand, she carried the case containing the dragon head. The 2 of them stood side by side, amidst the ruins of the Lu family estate, like a pair of deities descended to the mortal realm. "Old Master Lu, we meet for the first time." Yichuan raised his head, looking at the man standing on the steps, a Lu Jun who seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. A faint smile played on his lips. "This little welcoming gift of yours was quite lively, wasn't it?" Lu Jun pointed a finger at Yichuan, so enraged that a mouthful of blood caught in his throat. "Yichuan, this is the capital. This is the foot of the Emperor's throne. You dare to openly attack a civilian residence with heavy weaponry? This is treason. Attack?" Yichuan sneered. "Old Master Lu, are you seeing things? It's clear that your Lu family was illegally stockpiling forbidden weapons, and an operational error caused an explosion. I'm just a concerned citizen who came here specifically to help put out the fire." With that, Yichuan snapped his fingers. "Long Yi, send the video to the security bureau." "Roger." Long Yi's voice came from the sky. Everything that just happened was captured by the airship's holographic system and recorded in its entirety. It clearly shows the Lu family firing first, then their own missiles fell and detonated. Yichuan didn't even lift a finger. Lu Jun was shaking with rage. "Compared to the things your Lu family has done, I'm still far too kind." Yichuan's expression turned cold. As he stepped forward, Lu Jun roared, "7 Grandmasters! Kill him for me!" Lu Jun shrieked madly. The 7 Grandmasters, who had been observing until now, exchanged a look. Although Yichuan's entrance was terrifying, as martial artists, their pride dictated that they couldn't believe there was any mortal in this world who couldn't be killed. "Don't be so arrogant, boy! Taste my iron sand palm!" A burly old man roared, his foot shattering the floor tiles. His body shot towards Yichuan like a cannonball. His hands, black as iron, carried a powerful force as they struck straight for the top of Yichuan's head. This one palm strike was powerful enough to shatter stone tablets. Yichuan didn't even spare him a glance. System ability, gravity, multiplication. 100 times. Yichuan uttered the words softly. The Grandmaster, still in midair, suddenly felt his body being crushed by the weight of an invisible mountain. With no chance to resist, his entire body was slammed into the ground, in an incredibly brutal fashion, not kneeling, but smashed flat. His kneecaps instantly shattered. The ground caved in, forming a deep pit. His body was plastered to the bottom of the crater like a decal. Ugh, he passed out. The entire scene fell silent. The remaining 7 Grandmasters froze in their tracks, their faces filled with horror as they watched. "His words are law. What realm of power is this? Anyone else want to try?" Yichuan's gaze swept over them. "I don't mind turning this place into a morgue." The 7 Grandmasters looked at each other, stunned. Then, with perfect unspoken agreement, they backed away. And then they turned and fled. "Are you kidding me? One look and you know this isn't something a human can fight. Money is great, but your life is more important." Lu Jun was utterly defeated. Watching his retainers scatter in chaos, Lu Jun was so furious he nearly had a stroke. By now, Yichuan had reached the foot of the steps to Zhongyi Hall. He didn't enter immediately. Instead, he gestured to Shen Yunshu behind him. "Yunshu, bring it here." Shen Yunshu stepped forward, placed the case on the ground, and opened it. The majestic bronze dragon head lay silently inside. Its eyes seemed to be judging this rotten family. "Lu Jun," Yichuan's voice was as cold as ice. "This thing was originally something your Lu family conspired with outsiders to create, a tool you intended to use to humiliate our countrymen. Now, I've brought it back. I'm not placing it here as a gift for you. I'm here to teach you a lesson." Yichuan took a step up. Lu Jun dragons are meant to be revered, not to be sold. Lu Jun stood in the courtyard of his family home, staring at the dragon head, then at Yichuan, who was closing in step by step. The fear in his eyes finally twisted into desperate madness. Lu Jun let out a strange, owl-like screech. "Yichuan, you think you've won? You think high technology can solve everything? You know nothing about the true nature of this world." Lu Jun suddenly pulled a bizarre object from his chest. It was a black bone whistle, covered in carved talismans. He blew into it hard. A sharp, piercing whistle instantly echoed through the back mountain. Also, immediately after, the ground began to shake. A foul, bloody stench wafted out from the forbidden area of the back mountain. An inhuman roar echoed to the heavens. The wall surrounding the back mountain collapsed. A monster, 3 meters tall, its entire body covered in pitch-black scales, a humanoid beast with blood-red eyes, crawling on all fours, charged out like a runaway tank. Wherever it passed, the plants withered and died. The floor tiles corroded. Shen Yunshu's face paled. A biochemical monster. Ye Chuan, open your eyes and look! Lu Jun laughed maniacally. This is the tyrant, the ultimate weapon bestowed upon me by the Aegis Society. It was created from the genes of ancient creatures and a mutagenic virus, a fusion of different entities. It feels no pain. Unrivaled power, plus its body is laced with lethal poison, the tyrant roared, locking its sights on Yichuan. It suddenly leaped into the air. With claws capable of tearing a tank to shreds, it lunged straight at Yichuan's face. Facing this biochemical monstrosity, Yichuan's expression finally showed a hint of change. It was pure disgust. Is this your so-called trump card? Yichuan shook his head. It's way too ugly. Right at the moment, the tyrant's claws were about to touch the tip of Ye Chuan's nose. Ye Chuan suddenly raised his right arm. There was no earth-shattering aura. A seemingly ordinary lightsaber just suddenly appeared in his hand. No, that wasn't a lightsaber. It was a high-frequency particle blade, with a soft swish, like a knife slicing through a cutting board. Ye Chuan's arm swung in a beautiful arc. Time seemed to freeze in that instant. The tyrant's massive body flew over Ye Chuan's head and crashed heavily onto the ground behind him. There was no explosion. There was no blood and gore splattering everywhere. Only, right at the monster's waist, a red line as thin as a strand of hair appeared. A second later, the so-called invulnerable, ultimate weapon with unrivaled power had its upper half slowly slide off. The cut was as smooth as a mirror. You could even clearly see the cross-section of its internal organs, which had been instantly carbonized and sealed by the extreme heat. Not a single drop of blood spilled. An instant kill. A literal one-shot kill in the blink of an eye. Lu Jun's maniacal laughter abruptly stopped. His jaw dropped so wide you could stuff a fist in it. He stared at the two halves of the corpse still twitching on the ground, feeling his entire worldview completely collapse. That was the monster the Freemasonry spent $1 billion painstakingly creating, a monster that could withstand a rocket bombardment. Yet it was sliced as easily as tofu. Ye Chuan retracted the particle blade and dusted off his hands, as if he had just done something trivial and not worth mentioning. He walked up to Lu Jun, whose legs had completely given out. With one kick, he sent the dragon-headed cane flying. The symbol of the patriarch's authority. Got anything else? Ye Chuan leaned down, looking into Lu Jun's cloudy old eyes that were now overflowing with terror. If you're out of tricks, then it's time we settle our score. Back then, your Lu family conspired with the Wu family to frame my father. You forced him to his death just to swallow up the Ai family's assets. How should we settle this debt? Just now, you ordered your men to fire rockets at me, trying to kill me to silence me. How should we settle this one? Lu Jun trembled, his lips quivering. I'm willing to compensate you with all of the Lu family's assets. The money is all yours, trillions, all yours. I beg you, please spare my miserable life. Money! Ye Chuan sneered. Old Master Lu, perhaps you've forgotten. Right now, the one thing I lack the least is money. Ye Chuan stood up straight and looked up at the sky. At that moment, the Heaven's Punishment spaceship hovering above suddenly projected a massive holographic screen downward. Displayed on the screen was every piece of criminal evidence, detailed to the extreme. Evidence of the Lu family selling national intelligence, the Lu family's money laundering ledgers, audio recordings of the Lu family assassinating competitors. There was even surveillance footage of Lu Jun just ordering the use of prohibited weapons. At the same time, across every street and alley in the capital, all outdoor billboards, smartphones, and computers were forcibly hijacked with pop-up notifications, simultaneously live broadcasting all this evidence. The entire city was in an uproar. The whole country was shaken. No, I don't want this, Lu, Jun screamed, staring at the contents on the screen. No, I don't want this, Boo, Jun screamed, staring at the contents on the screen. He was in absolute despair. This was going to completely ruin the Lu family's reputation, leaving them with a legacy of infamy for generations to come. This was far more cruel than just killing him. To kill a man, you must first destroy his spirit. Ye Chuan said calmly, Lu Jun, I want you to see with your own eyes how the century-old legacy you're so proud of is drowned in the spit and scorn of the world, and how it crumbles to dust. Just then, the frantic wail of police sirens echoed from afar. This time, it wasn't the corrupt officials called in by the Lu family, but a direct order from the highest authorities. A fully armed special task force, along with the military courts enforcement squad, arrived. You are suspected of treason and crimes against humanity. We are placing you under lawful arrest. As the cold handcuffs locked around Lu Jun's wrist, the formidable overlord who had reigned supreme for half a century finally had to bow his arrogant head. The moment he was escorted into the police car, he turned his head to look back. He saw Ye Chuan sitting in the armchair, the very armchair that symbolized his supreme authority. He was holding Shen Yunshu in his arms, toying with the dragon head ring in his hand, and raising a wineglass toward him in a mock toast. It was the posture of a victor, and the final curtain call for an era of prosperity. The Lu family had fallen completely, uprooted entirely, with all the core members of the Lu family caught in the net, as well as the purge of the backers behind them. The power dynamics of the entire capital were completely reshuffled overnight, and Yushuan had become the one and only absolute taboo. Late at night, the Lu family's old estate served as Yichuan's temporary resting place. Yichuan stood by the cliff behind the mountain, looking down at the brightly lit capital below. Shen Yunshu draped a coat over his shoulders. What are you thinking about? You've avenged your great enmity. Aren't you happy? Ye Chuan shook his head. He held her hand. The Lu family may have fallen, but this is far from over. That old monster from earlier was a pawn of the Western Freemasonry. Furthermore, Yi Chuan reached into his pocket and pulled out what he had found on Lu Jun. It was a black bone whistle. His eyes grew serious. The material of this bone whistle doesn't belong to Earth. It was carved from the bone of some higher-tier creature. It contains an energy fluctuation that even the system can't fully analyze. The system just notified me. Earth's coordinates have likely been exposed. Shen Yunshu was startled. Exposed to whom? Ye Chuan looked up at the vast starry sky. To the real predators. Right at that moment, the system in Ye Chuan's mind suddenly blared an unprecedented, ear-piercing warning. Warning, warning, dimensional barrier breach detected. Abyssal aura intrusion detected. Coordinates, Central Pacific Ocean. Objective, seize the dimensional overlord core and the host. In Yi Chuan's pupils, golden streams of data danced wildly. He took a deep breath and crushed the bone whistle in his hand. Looks like there's no time to rest. Yunshu, notify Long Yi. Have the entire Shadow Legion assemble. Also, activate all weapon systems on the Heaven's Punishment spaceship. We're heading to the Pacific. We have some guests from afar. I need to give them a proper welcome. Point Nemo, Central Pacific Ocean. This is the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, the farthest point from land on Earth. This inaccessible pole is known to humanity as the spacecraft cemetery. But today, this area known as the Dead Sea was boiling like a cauldron of oil in hell. 10,000 meters in the air, the pitch-black Heaven's Punishment spatial spaceship hovered among the clouds, with its optical camouflage engaged. Inside the cockpit, Yi Chuan stood before the holographic projection table, looking down at the ocean surface below. Beside him, Shen Yunshu was wearing a skin-tight nano-combat suit. Even though she had witnessed many of Yi Chuan's miracles, looking at the data displayed on the holographic screen right now still made her scalp tingle. What is this? Is that an entire city? Shen Yunshu pointed at the screen. Look at all those dense heat signatures. The screen displayed at a depth of 3,000 meters below Point Nemo stood a colossal structure, a pyramid-shaped architectural complex emitting an eerie green glow. Its scale even far surpassed that of Zhangcheng. Countless submarines and underwater combat mechs were bustling around it, like worker bees. This is the Western Secret Organization, the true headquarters of the Freemasonry, the Atlantis Fortress. They hit it pretty well. Ye Chuan stared at the massive pyramid. A golden light swirled in his eyes. The system's analysis displayed the energy core of this base is undergoing some sort of high-dimensional spatial resonance. They're summoning something. Summoning what? The tyrant was just a watchdog. What they're trying to summon this time is the master of that dog. Right then, Long Yu's voice echoed directly through the neural link. Boss, the enemy has spotted us. The surface defense systems have been activated. Before he could even finish his sentence, the previously calm ocean surface suddenly churned violently. The seawater erupted. 12 massive metal pillars, each over 10 meters in diameter, rose from the sea, piercing straight into the blue sky. Immediately after, blinding beams of high-energy particles interwove into a massive, inescapable net of death. Interwove into a massive, inescapable net of death. It instantly locked onto the Heaven's Punishment spaceship hidden in the clouds. Warning: high-intensity energy attack detected. The AI of the Heaven's Punishment spaceship blared a deafening alarm. Finally decided to show yourselves, huh? The corners of Ye Chuan's mouth curled into an arrogant smirk. If they want to play Star Wars, then I'll show them what a dimensional strike truly looks like. Exchange for a planetary-grade orbital railgun, rod from God's single-use trial version. Funds deducted, space weapon is ready. Ye Chuan raised his hand, pointing lightly at the empty air toward the ocean below. God said, "Let there be light." In orbit, 30,000 kilometers away in space, a cleverly disguised meteorological satellite, which was actually a massive kinetic weapon platform, Ijitashi, suddenly adjusted its posture. A 6-meter-long tungsten rod, weighing several tons with ultra-high density, was accelerated by the electromagnetic rail with a terrifying speed of Mach 20. It plummeted straight toward Earth. The atmosphere was torn apart in the blink of an eye. The friction generated ultra-high temperatures, turning the tungsten rod into a falling sun. A few seconds later, the 12 metal pillars on the Pacific Ocean, which were relentlessly firing deadly beams, along with the seawater within a 10-kilometer radius, in just a split second, were struck by a destructive pillar of light descending from the heavens. They were completely vaporized. A delayed, deafening explosion echoed, shattering the eardrums of creatures thousands of miles away. The massive shockwave created a tsunami hundreds of meters high, spreading wildly in all directions. As for the Atlantis fortress, hidden deep beneath the sea, its energy shield flickered violently under the attack, like a candle in the wind on the verge of going out. Inside the core consciousness hall of the underwater fortress, a grand and majestic chamber, the surrounding walls were carved with the totems of nameless ancient gods. 12 figures in red robes, elders wearing pure gold masks, were sitting around a circular table. They were the supreme authority of the Freemasonry, the 12 men of truth. Right now, these masterminds, who usually manipulated global finance, orchestrated wars, and spread plagues, were staring at the ceiling above them as it continuously collapsed, falling into unprecedented panic. "That's the rod from God!" one elder screamed in terror. "That's a weapon that only exists in theory. How could that Ye Chuan possibly have it? Could he be a civilization observer from a higher dimension?" "Accelerate the ritual," the great elder sitting at the head of the table rasped. Beneath his mask, half of a rotting face was exposed, with black tentacles writhing upon it. "Only by summoning the abyssal behemoth to descend can we survive. Even if we have to sacrifice this entire Earth, we must preserve our immortality. Start it now!" The 12 elders simultaneously slit their wrists, dripping their blood into a black vortex in the center of the array. As the fresh blood flowed in, the vortex began to spin madly. A sickening, evil aura instantly erupted, piercing straight through the core shell of the underwater fortress and shooting straight up to the ocean's surface. In the air above the sea, Ye Chuan frowned. What a disgusting stench. He could feel it. At the bottom of the sea, an extremely evil energy was awakening. That energy didn't belong to Earth. It carried a ravenous hunger, wanting to devour everything. "Yunshu, stay on the ship. Activate all defensive shields." Ye Chuan turned his head and said to Shen Yunshu, "The next battle might get a little messy. Are you going down there?" Shen Yunshu grabbed his hand. "It's too dangerous. That's 3,000 meters underwater." Ye Chuan gently kissed her forehead. "Don't worry, I have the abyssal armor." With that, Ye Chuan walked to the hatch, leapt out, and activated the Poseidon system. The Poseidon armor equipped itself in midair. Countless streams of blue nanometal enveloped Ye Chuan's entire body, instantly forming a sleek, aerodynamic, dark blue battlesuit. Wielding a trident in his hand, the thrusters on his back spewed deep blue ion flames. Ye Chuan was like a torpedo, plunging fiercely into the boiling seawater. The moment he entered the water, the surrounding seawater acted as if it had met its king, automatically parting to both sides. Ye Chuan accelerated through the water. His speed even surpassed that of a super-cavitating torpedo. Ahead of him, the massive pyramid fortress came into clear view, and surrounding the fortress, tens of thousands of biochemical monsters, half-mechanized tyrants with gills, super-tyrant sharks, and even humanoid octopus monsters were swarming toward him like a disturbed hive of bees. Ye Chuan gripped the trident tightly in his hand and swung it with immense force. Overlord Domain. Absolute Zero, with Ye Chuan at the center. The seawater within a 1,000-meter radius instantly froze solid. Countless charging monsters didn't even have time to open their mouths before they were frozen into lifelike ice sculptures. Ye Chuan's momentum didn't stop. He smashed through countless ice sculptures like a meteor, crashing violently into the fortress's energy shield. The tip of the trident erupted with a blinding golden light. That was the destructive energy of antimatter. The supposedly indestructible energy shield shattered like a soap bubble. Ye Chuan was unstoppable, piercing straight through the outer wall of the fortress and crashing right into the middle of the central ritual hall. As the dust settled, Ye Chuan stepped out of the rubble, trident in hand. The 12 elders conducting the ritual were blown to the ground by the massive shockwave, each of them looking battered and utterly pathetic. Ye Chuan crushed the great elder's mask under his foot, revealing the hideous half-human, half-monster face beneath. Why stop chanting, or did you forget the words? The great elder stared at Ye Chuan in terror. The pitch-black tentacles inside his body flailed wildly, preparing to attack. Ye Chuan casually struck out, pinning the great elder firmly to the ground. Golden energy surged through the trident. Those tentacles turned to ash amidst agonizing screams. Ye Chuan coldly looked at the remaining 11 elders. Speak, who exactly is the abyss? Why did you invite the wolf into the house? It's too late. Too late, one elder suddenly laughed maniacally, pointing at the pitch-black vortex in the center of the round table. The gate is open. The Spirit Lord has already noticed this place. You're all going to die. You'll all become nourishment for the Lord. As soon as he finished, that black vortex suddenly expanded violently, swallowing the entire area in the blink of an eye. Then it transformed into a towering pillar of black light, piercing through the dome of the fortress and shooting straight up into the clouds. A tremor from deep within the soul swept across the entire battlefield. Ye Chuan abruptly looked up. He saw that within that pillar of black light, a massive hand covered in scales and eyes was slowly reaching out. That hand was impossibly huge. Just a single finger was hundreds of meters long. Following it was an enormously colossal head. It was a face that no words could possibly describe, covered entirely in compound eyes, with green acidic slime dripping from its mouth. The system's red warning frame almost completely filled Ye Chuan's vision. Tier 3 Civilization. Ye Chuan took a deep breath. Now this is getting interesting. That colossal monster didn't fully emerge. It only revealed its upper half, yet it almost completely filled the entire underwater space. Its countless, compound eyes locked dead onto Ye Chuan, emitting a kind of sound that directly impacted the brainwaves. The voice of the system's owner echoed from that place, like 10,000 bugs crawling inside the brain, causing one's mind to collapse. Looking for me? Ye Chuan raised an eyebrow. What? You want to inherit my debt? Hand over the origin seed. Otherwise, face annihilation. The monster roared, its massive hand grabbing toward Ye Chuan. This grab carried the power of spatial confinement laws. It was unavoidable. Ye Chuan felt the surrounding space freeze solid. His body couldn't move an inch. So this is the power of a Tier 3 civilization. It has already touched the level of universal laws. Shen Yunshu's terrified scream echoed through the comms. Don't panic. Ye Chuan closed his eyes and took a deep breath. I want to buy something. Please state your request, host. I want to buy the ownership rights to this plane. The system fell silent for a second, seemingly shocked by Ye Chuan's audacious idea. Replying to host, purchasing the ownership rights to the entire Earth plane requires a capital of 100 quintillion tycoon points. The host's current balance is insufficient. Who said I wanted to buy Earth? Ye Chuan suddenly opened his eyes. The golden light in his eyes had turned into a chaotic gray. What I want to buy is this exact moment. The protagonist's aura for this very second. Detecting host's will. Unlocking special item. Absolute contract. Child of the plane. 10-second limit. Price. All remaining assets will be reduced to 0. Exchange. All assets will be reduced to 0. That's hundreds of billions. Trillions. Ye Chuan didn't hesitate. Exchange. If money is gone, I can make it back. If my life is gone, or if this Earth blows up, it's game over. Transaction successful. Host's current balance is 0. Child of the plane mode activated. For these 10 seconds, You are the chosen one of this universe. An indescribably immense power. Blessed Yichuan. The feeling of spatial confinement instantly shattered. Yichuan moved. He didn't dodge that massive hand at all. Instead, he charged straight at it. The trident in his hand vanished, replaced by an ordinary-looking frying pan. That's right. This was the lucky divine artifact gifted by the system. Yichuan let out a roar, and the frying pan, in his hand, smashed hard against the finger of that abyssal lord. A crisp metallic clang rang out. An unbelievable scene unfolded. That entity with planet-destroying combat power, the one known as a Tier 3 civilization lifeform, the abyssal lord, actually had its fingerbone fractured. By this frying pan, the monster roared in pain and bewilderment. It couldn't comprehend it. This was completely absurd. I'm not done yet. Yichuan's figure flashed, instantly appearing before the monster's giant eye. This hit is for the people you've killed. A giant eye exploded, splattering green fluid everywhere. This pan is because you're too damn ugly, scaring my Shen Yunshu. Another eye exploded. And this pan is for making me go broke. Yichuan looked like a glitched video on fast forward. The pan in his hand turned into countless afterimages. In just a few short seconds, aiming straight at that massive face, he frantically attacked thousands of times. Every strike triggered absolute critical hit, absolute stun, and absolute armor break effects. The Abyssal Lord was beaten into a daze. It even felt something it had lost long ago. Fear. This human wasn't normal at all. This power was a karmic law attack that transcended all rules. Go back to your cesspool. In the final moment, Yichuan leaped high into the air, using every ounce of his strength, to smash the pan right into the middle of the monster's forehead. Get out of here! The colossal body of the Abyssal Lord was actually sent flying by this strike, brutally knocked right back into that pitch-black vortex. The monster roared with fury and indignation, but its body plummeted uncontrollably straight into the abyss. While the vortex hadn't closed yet, Yichuan pulled something out from his chest. It was a simplified, two-dimensional foil exchanged from the shop. It was a piece of paper drawn with an incredibly comical expression. Here's a gift for you, to keep you entertained on the way down. Yichuan casually tossed the piece of paper into the vortex. See ya! The vortex suddenly contracted violently. Then, under the effect of that piece of paper, space began to collapse and drop in dimension. The tunnel that originally led to the abyss transformed into a painting in the blink of an eye. A flat oil painting floating in the void. In the painting was the terrified face of that monster. Everything returned to a state of peace. Child of the Plane mode ended. Congratulations to the host for completing the Godslayer achievement. Current assets: 0. Yichuan floated amidst the empty ruins at the bottom of the sea, looking at the mess everywhere, and the remains of the 12 elders who had been blown to pieces by the energy wave. He patted his pockets. He really didn't have a single penny left. He didn't even have cab fare to get back to Zhangcheng. Impulsiveness truly is the devil. Yichuan let out a long sigh. Just then, a submarine slowly approached. It was Shen Yunshu. She was piloting the escape pod of the Heaven's Punishment airship down to pick him up. The hatch opened. Shen Yunshu swam out, disregarding everything else, and hugged Yichuan tightly. We won. Yichuan smiled bitterly. But Yunshu, I have some bad news for you. What is it? Shen Yunshu looked at him worriedly. I'm bankrupt. I don't have a single dime left. I'm literally dead broke. Shen Yunshu froze for a moment, then burst out laughing. She cupped Yichuan's face in the water and planted a kiss on his lips. It's okay. Before, you took care of me. From now on, I'll take care of you. Don't forget, I'm now the head of the Yu Group, the chairman of the Shin Group, and the Atlantic Bank. Yichuan smiled too. Looks like I'll be happily living off you from now on. The two of them surfaced, looking at the sunlight they hadn't seen in a while. The storm over the Pacific Ocean had calmed. However, Yichuan knew very well that this was only a temporary peace. The words that Abyssal Lord said before leaving, along with the system's hint about the origin seed, all pointed to a much larger secret. What exactly is the system? Why are those higher dimensional beings fighting over it? Detecting that the host has completed all Phase 2 combat missions. Final mission unlocked. The origin of the system. Please proceed to Death Valley in the Kunlun Mountains. The remains of the previous system host are buried there. Yichuan looked at the virtual panel in front of him, his eyes narrowing slightly. The remains of the previous host. It seems the end of this story isn't just a simple underdog comeback of a tycoon, it's a chess game that has spanned 10,000 years. Yunshu, let's go home and pack up. Yichuan looked toward the distant horizon. It's time we head to our final stop. To uncover the truth behind all of this, Death Valley, Kunlun Mountains. This place was known as the Gates of Hell. Thunderstorms raged here year-round, and the magnetic field was extremely chaotic. Over the past centuries, countless herders and explorers had lost their lives here, leaving no bones behind. But today, the thunder here was more violent than ever before. A purple lightning bolt tore through the sky, striking hard into the snow-covered valley floor. A massive, pitch-black airship resembling a giant sword, the Heaven's Punishment airship, ignored the lightning storm that could obliterate a tank in an instant. Like a mobile steel fortress, it slowly descended into the depths of Death Valley. The hatch opened. The freezing wind howled. Ye Chuan led Shen Yunshu by the hand and stepped outside. He was no longer wearing his battle armor, just a simple black trench coat. But those eyes were deeper than the ice and snow of Kunlun. Is this really the end? Shen Yunshu looked at the scattered white bones of cattle and sheep everywhere and felt a chill run down her spine. It's the end, but also the beginning. Yichuan looked at the system in his hand. The glowing dot representing the origin seed on the radar screen was flashing bright red. Its location was right beneath their feet. Get to work, Long Yi. The Shadow Legion, having awaited orders for a long time, operated 2 massive laser drills, aiming them at the giant black rock at the bottom of the valley. The excavation began. As the rock was melted away by the intense heat, a shocking secret gradually revealed itself to the world. It wasn't a rock at all. It was an imposing ancient bronze warship buried underground for who knows how many tens of thousands of years. Its design was archaic and profound, its surface carved with complex thundercloud patterns. The bow proudly featured a ferocious dragon head. Even after enduring the erosion of time, it still exuded a suffocating imperial aura. The style of the Qin dynasty. Could it be that the legend of Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum wasn't just a legend after all? Ye Chuan took a deep breath, held Shen Yunshu's hand, and jumped into the newly cut entrance. Welcome to the command center of the First Emperor. Inside the warship, it wasn't as dark as they had imagined. The moment Ye Chuan stepped into the main control room, countless eternal lamps, which were actually cold light fusion lamps, automatically lit up. Right in the center of the grand hall stood a throne forged from black gold. Sitting upright on the throne was a skeleton wearing a black dragon robe. Even though he had been reduced to white bones, he still maintained the posture of holding a longsword, his gaze fixed toward the heavens. That domineering, unrivaled aura, even after more than 2,000 years, still made one feel an uncontrollable urge to kneel. And right in front of the skeleton floated a crystal emitting a soft white light. The civilization origin seed. Is this your previous host? Yichuan asked softly. Yes. The cold mechanical voice of the system now carried a hint of human sorrow. Previous host was Yingjiang. Codename Ancestral Dragon System version 1.0 Civilization Hegemony Edition. Cause of death to fend off the first invasion. From the abyss, he exhausted all system points, forcibly draining his own life force to activate the 9 provinces barrier and the Great Wall orbital defense system. Ultimately, he died of exhaustion. A deep sense of reverence welled up within Ye Chuan. So the so-called construction of the Great Wall wasn't simply to defend against the Xiongnu, but to guard against the predators from the sky. At that moment, the origin seed suddenly vibrated. A new image was projected from the skeleton. It was a majestic middle-aged man. Though it was merely a hologram, his eyes seemed capable of piercing through space and time. The voice of the first emperor, Yingjing, echoed throughout the grand hall, carrying a profound, ancient resonance. When you see this recording, we are no longer of this world. We unified the 6 states, standardized the writing, and unified the tracks. We thought we could usher in eternal peace for Huaxia. Little did we know, there are heavens beyond our heavens. Those greedy predators, the abyss. They coveted Earth's coordinates. We exhausted the nation's strength to forge the 12 colossal golden mechs and the Great Wall magnetic railgun array. Though we temporarily repelled them, we know they will inevitably return. We have left behind the origin seed. It records our unfulfilled grand ambition. I have also sealed my final legacy within. If you are one who cares for this world, then fuse with it, and in my stead, protect this nation." The image faded. Yichuan was lost in thought for a long time. Then, he took a step forward. He reached out and grasped the origin seed. "Ancestor, you can rest in peace." Yichuan's eyes were resolute. "The battle you left unfinished, I will fight. The money you never got to spend, I'll spend it for you." The origin seed instantly merged into Yichuan's palm. An immense flood of information poured into his brain. It was the memories of Yingzheng, the blueprints of ancient technology, and even the authority over Earth's entire defense system. System detected, origin seed fusion successful. Final form of the Tycoon system. Activating Earth Administrator mode. Congratulations, host. You have inherited the legacy of the first emperor. Your current account balance is immeasurable by numbers. Because what you have inherited is the very fortune and history of all of Huoxia. Just as Yichuan was fusing with the origin seed, outside, the sky above the Kunlun Mountains shattered in an instant. It was no longer the small cracks from before. The entire sky had turned a bloody red. Countless massive black warships, like a swarm of locusts, poured out from the dimensional rift. It was the main fleet of the abyssal civilization. They had finally locked onto Earth's coordinates and launched an all-out assault. Warning, planet-destroying level threat detected. Number of attacking enemies, 100,000 ships. Estimated time until Earth's destruction, 10 minutes. Shen Yunshu looked at the alarm on her wrist device. Her face turned pale. "Yichuan, can we really hold them off this time? That's 100,000 interstellar warships." Ye Xuan slowly opened his eyes. His pupils had turned completely golden. It was the authority befitting an administrator. He glanced at his personal account, which was now at 0. Then he looked again, at the system's control panel, at the gloriously shining inheritance account. Yichuan let out an incredibly arrogant laugh. "Why wait? If the ancestor left me this inheritance, then it's for me to spend like a true prodigal son." Yichuan took Shen Yunshu's hand and walked out of the ancient hall. Standing at the highest point of the Valley of Death, he faced the alien fleet, pressing down from the sky. He raised a hand towards the sky and snapped his fingers. "System, I want to spend. Please state your request, host. I want to buy out this piece of history. Awaken the 12 golden men, the Titan robots. Awaken the Great Wall, the planetary ring defense array. Awaken and summon the Phantom Legion. Payment method, 5,000 years of Huoxia's national fortune. Payment successful." Awakening in progress, the next second, the entire divine land began to tremble. In Xi'an, the mausoleum of the first Qin emperor shook violently. The burial mound exploded with a deafening roar. They weren't ceramic statues. The thousands upon thousands of terracotta warriors, their clay surfaces immediately cracked and fell away, revealing the cold, metallic sheen underneath. Nanometal bodies. Their eyes glowed with a red light. The bronze swords in their hands instantly ignited with plasma. A heaven-shaking battle cry echoed like a dragon's roar. 1,000,000 mechanical soldiers soared into the heavens. Meanwhile, at the ruins of Xianyang, 12 colossal bronze mechs, each 1,000 meters tall, burst from the ground. Each and every one radiated energy fluctuations comparable to a nuclear power plant. Wielding giant halberds, they were like ancient demon gods awakened. But even more shocking was the Great Wall. The ancient wall, snaking for thousands of miles, now began to glow with a brilliant golden light. Bricks and stones fell away, revealing what lay beneath. An array of superconducting magnetic railguns, buried for 2,000 years. What is this? In the sky, the commander of the abyssal fleet watched the planet below suddenly come to life. He was so terrified his tentacles went rigid. "Who gave you permission to covet our lands?" Yichuan's voice, amplified by the origin seed, reverberated across the entire globe. It even directly exploded in the minds of every single alien. He waved a hand. Kill. The Great Wall transformed into a colossal golden dragon. Countless beams of antimatter shot into the sky. In an instant, the first wave of the alien vanguard fleet was completely vaporized. The 12 golden Titan mechs leaped into the clouds. With every swing of the massive weapons in their hands, they could destroy a 1,000-meter-long mothership. The millions of Phantom Qin soldiers surged into the enemy formation like a black tide, engaging in brutal close-quarters combat. This was a slaughter that transcended space and time. This was the most furious roar of Earth's civilization against its predators. Yichuan stood atop Kunlun Peak. Watching this brilliant fireworks display, Yunshu, beautiful, isn't it? Shen Yunshu was completely mesmerized. Tears blurred her vision. It's beautiful. This is the most expensive fireworks show I've ever seen. It's not over yet. Yechuan looked at the largest flagship in the sky, the Abyssal Mothership. If we're going to be prodigal, then let's go all the way. Yechuan raised his hand again. Activate final expenditure. I want to buy Earth's ascension. Let's upgrade this planet to a level 4 civilization. Confirming payment. Expending all. Fortune. Loading. Planetary engines loading. Quantum shield loading. Causality weapon. Earth's ascension initiated. A flash of white light, bright enough to illuminate the entire Milky Way, erupted from Earth's core. In that instant, the abyssal fleet was like snow under the sun. Not even dust remained. They were directly erased by the law of causality. Earth's volume didn't increase, but its energy level leaped forward in that moment. From this day on, this blue planet would become a true forbidden zone in the universe. 3 months later, the abyss has retreated. Civilization reboots. Although it had gone through a great war, under the restoration from Yechuan's superpowers, the cities were not only restored to their original state, but became even more futuristic. The building's rooftop hanging garden has now been transformed into a crystal palace floating among the clouds. The wedding. Shen Yunshu wore a wedding dress named Love that topples cities. This dress was crafted by Ye Xuan using materials from the core of the infinite abyss, combined with deep-sea pearls. Its value was immeasurable. She was breathtakingly beautiful. On her father's arm, she walked step by step towards the man at the end of the red carpet. The Ye Chuan of today was the recognized planetary lord of Earth, the guardian of human civilization. But he still smiled like a young schoolboy. His eyes were only for the bride walking towards him. Tang Tang, in a little flower girl dress, toddled behind, holding up the train of the gown, beaming from ear to ear. Mr. Yichuan, Elder Kayan, acting as the officiant, was flushed with excitement. Do you take Miss Shen Yunshu to be your wife? 4 richer, 4 poorer. At the word poorer, the guests below let out a good-natured laugh. Everyone in the world knew that although Yichuan's personal account was now 0, he owned the entire Earth. I do. Yichuan looked into Shen Yunshu's eyes. He said with deep affection, Miss Shen Yunshu, do you take Mr. Yichuan? I do. Before Elder Qian could finish, Shen Yunshu eagerly answered. The whole hall erupted in laughter. Amidst a sky full of flower petals and cheers, the two embraced tightly and shared a deep kiss. Just then, the long, silent system's prompt sounded in Yichuan's mind. Congratulations, host, for completing all main storyline quests. The Tycoon system's mission is complete. Now unbinding to seek the next spark of civilization. Parting gift, the host will retain the golden pupils and a strengthened physique. Farewell, host. May you, in this world that you yourself bought, live a lifetime of happiness. Yichuan was stunned for a moment. It's unbinding? The system that accompanied him from being a food delivery guy on his journey to becoming the king of the world is really leaving. A faint sense of loss washed over him, but he quickly felt a sense of relief. Because he could feel the warmth of Shen Yunshu in his arms, he could hear Tang Tang's laughter and see the sincere blessings from the guests below. He didn't need the system anymore. He already possessed the most precious asset in the world. Yichuan, what's wrong? Shen Yunshu noticed he was distracted. She asked softly. Yichuan snapped out of it. He looked at the woman he loved so deeply before him and gave her his brightest smile. It's nothing. Just that my secret stash of cash got confiscated. Shen Yunshu chuckled. She leaned close to his ear, her breath warm and sweet. It's okay. I'm yours. Besides, I took the 1 trillion the company earned and put it all on this card. The password is your birthday. Shen Yunshu slipped a card into Yichuan's hand. Yichuan looked at the card in his hand, then at his blushing shy wife. He suddenly felt that being taken care of was the sweetest thing in the world. Let's go on our honeymoon. Where to? Yichuan looked up at the vast, starry sky. I hear the sunset on Mars isn't bad. Since we've already bought Earth, we might as well go colonize Mars while we're at it. Oh, you big spender. The sun shone brightly. A gentle breeze blew. Yichuan held Shen Yunshu. With the whole world as their witness, they walked towards the happy future that belonged to them, and the legend of the #1 tycoon will forever be told beneath these stars.